realistically going to go replace it tomorrow. So like, I know again, a lot of people are not comfortable being able to just be like, yo, I don't know. And they actually are super arrogant and think they can make fun of me because like, you don't even have a map of the earth. It's like, all you have is what you were spoon fed. And then you get on a plane and a GPS re-updates as you travel based on what the model is built into it. And then you're like, oh, this is so real. Like, I'm just not the same as everybody, bro. But you're not going to get me to like defend this AE map. You're not going to get me to defend this Gleason model, quote unquote. Like, I've defended it some in the past. I never have claimed it, and I've pointed out the problems with it more efficiently than most Globers for like 5 years. I have entire streams
Well,
pointing out all these things that you're trying to present to me in 2026 as gotchas, right? Like I listed
no.
off the problems better than you are.
You're the one who's now bringing back the information to whatever royal family.
Do you
And then there are
understand why?
maps. And then there are maps, which you said, you can't deny. I mean, we have maps to get from place to place that have distances on them that are measured.
Mm.
And yet
Okay,
you
what's
say there are no
what
maps.
exactly?
We don't have a map.
Elderbear, what exactly is your point? Like, what is the main point you're trying to make here? What are you trying to say?
As far as flat Earth goes, you're spoon feeding me what flat Earth is up till now.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
just
well, if
attacking
you
And I
Witsit.
had some questions about flat Earth, and I had some questions about it. I asked them.
you're you're
sometimes
trying to
gets difficult.
pretend that you're learning flat Earth from me by then coming
Not just you.
taking a position that isn't mine and trying to force me to answer for it. Like that's super goofy.
No, I asked you about the relationship between 1 degree and 69 miles. Clarify that for 70 degrees, 70
Yes,
of
they
those
made a
increments, it
fallacious
would be
jump.
69
Somehow
miles.
that means I need to make a claim of the distance of the equator.
So you talking over me, or am I talking over you? What's happening now?
Yeah, because I'm just repeating yourself.
So you are talking over me.
Yes,
Okay.
for one time in the last 2 hours, I talked over you.
Right, just to be clear, we know where we.
All right, man. Like I don't know. Like you said the 70 degrees, and that's 4,000
Yeah.
miles.
So what I hear is 70 increments of 69 miles. So I can now see 4,830 miles of flatness, right? And if they relate to latitudes and they relate to circles, then I see a radius.
Well, that's what you see. That's not what I see.
It's what you describe.
No, it's not.
Well, you described that going east to west is a circle.
I didn't even say that.
This is
You
what
did
you're
earlier
doing
when you were
over there.
talking about north and south. That's what you said.
No, someone else jumped in and said that. I didn't even say that.
No, it was you.
Do you want to bet?
Do you have like some beef with Witsit? Yeah, you have some beef with Witsit? Like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah, it was someone else. He jumped in and said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah." So, what's your point? I didn't say that.
Yeah, it was me.
When we were talking about Antarctica and I talked about south, you went to where? How do you know where north and south is?
Correct. And then you said, "Isn't east and west on a flat Earth
you
a circle?"
and it said in relation to a compass. And then you asked me about a compass. And you said going east and west is a circle.
I did not say that. You said on a flat Earth, east and west is a circle, right? And then someone else jumped in and said, "Yeah." So, what's your point? And then you started interrupting him to keep talking because you just talking.
Okay,
I
so it's not a circle
on yours too because I thought you were a Glober.
So you don't go in a circle
what he
east
said.
and west. If you go east to west, you don't go in a circle. You saying?
Holy shit,
Dude! If you go east and west using a compass and a map that you're trying to force on me that I don't claim, then you would go in a circle on that map. you know, and what I actually explained to you was like compasses aren't as
in reality,
how would I possibly know in reality if I went in a circle that was 25,000 miles in distance? How would I know that in reality?
So you can't get anywhere. You wouldn't be able to navigate.
Well, I guess I've gotten everywhere for, over 30 years of my life, and I've never had to calculate the distance that I traveled across the whole equator. I mean, I think barely anyone ever has even attempted that.
Okay, that's fine. So we're getting smaller and smaller. That's interesting.
I guess you don't get. I know you think these are like these big gotchas, and your overall point is just like you
They're not
don't have
gotchas. I'm trying
anything.
to understand you, Witsit. I'm trying to understand you and what you
Okay,
say.
okay,
Okay.
okay,
And so
okay.
we've got from big things you talk about, from the AI ionosphere, we've got down to something very, very local now. That's about your limit.
How is the entirety of Earth very local?
Well, you just described it as local because you haven't done any of
Oh wait, hey, how
it.
is
You have a
knowing the
map. You do
entirety of
have
Earth
maps, and you
local?
can get to the next city, and you can
That's
measure a
right, that's
distance to
right.
that
And
city.
those and we
Yeah.
measure those distances assuming it's flat, and we create the maps as if it's flat, and yes, they all work.
And you then agreed that for every 1 degree up to 70 degrees, you've got 69 increments, 70 increments of 69 miles, the flatness.
We don't make maps that way. We don't travel that way in reality. So, if we're going to we're going to pretend we're Vikings and we're going to try to go from one continent to another,
Well, the
then
Vikings have
yeah,
been and gone. People have navigated and done that for a long time. That's
oh, so
that's
now we're back
that's a
to other
given.
people, not me. And I don't,
Yeah, I
it's
know
funny,
what
like,
we know. I know. Yeah, I
dude,
understand now that
it's
actually
so
you are very local,
simple.
like
It's
everybody else,
so
and you don't know either.
It's so simple that I even acknowledged, yes, it's pretty overwhelming evidence. There's absolutely a linear relationship between traveling on the ground and the stars. And that can be reliably utilized between around 15 degrees and 85 degrees. And you have two options. Option A is because we have basically infinite vision that sees in straight lines forever, right? We just like see in straight lines and we're on a curved earth. The other option is that we're on a plane earth and we have curved visual space. So that is not mutually exclusive either way, other than the globe idea, the idea of the Earth's curving causing it. I still explain why it messes up under 15 degrees and all of a sudden becomes logarithmic, just like curved visual space would predict. And then they'll say refraction. And then I'll ask, how so? And they'll just say, trust me, bro, even though it's different than terrestrial refraction and we don't make any measurements and we can't actually predict it. And just trust me. And just so happens to compress it at a logarithmic rate, even though sometimes we claim refraction lifts things over hundreds of miles. And I'm like, all right, bro, I'm out of here. That's kind of how that goes.
Your magnetic field theory, there's circles, are they?
My magnetic field theory? I mean, they're kind of ovals in a magnetic field.
That Metamucil kick in on you, Elderberry? You starting to calm down?
Sorry?
Did that
Well, no,
Metamucil
I
kick
mean,
in? Is that what all talks on?
Witzel agreed to something,
Metamucil.
but then he doesn't agree to anything.
When are we going to get to talk about integrity? Flat Earth has certainly
There
lost
we
it.
go.
You
Now
don't
let's
want
get
to
it
talk
going.
to me
Let's
because of
spiral,
it.
dude.
No.
Speak for
You don't want
yourself,
to talk
drama
to me
queen.
because of it. So if
Let's
Flat
start to
Earth, if
spiral
we're
the
going to
whole
say,
chat.
man, we just
Let's
don't
do that.
know, right? We just
See, for
don't
those
know.
people,
Jesus
We certainly
Christ.
don't
those
have any integrity, right?
You
for those
don't,
people who
maybe.
did,
Speak
who
for yourself.
What we're trying to corner here is the integrity part of this. That's what anybody really is supposed to be caring about. Now,
It should be curvature.
I got a particular problem here where I get accused of things, and you guys don't want to hear about it, and you don't want to hear about reality. So I'm just going to
Nobody wants
ask
a
in
life story.
general, how do we feel about accountability? Because, for instance, some people are making claims. David Weiss makes lots of claims. Nathan Thompson makes lots of claims.
You guys want to
If
own
you
up to
want to
that, guys?
pretend you're not making
Oh, they're
claims,
not here.
that's fine.
They're not
But
here though.
but
Yeah,
you have to
I don't see
understand
him in
now,
the chat anywhere.
where's the integrity going to come
Mod
from
this
then?
guy.
What do we got?
Somebody
Now,
mod this guy.
I
You got a
got
Somebody,
ghost
your
that you're
somebody
arguing
mod
with.
that.
Is everyone going to
Could
talk
everybody stop
bullshit,
interrupting,
or are we
dude?
going
He's
to talk
trying to,
integrity?
hold on, Dan. Hold on. Dan, you guys. He's making a point. Why are 5 people talking over him?
He's talking
He's
about
Talk
people that are
about,
not
like,
here,
people
Gio.
aren't here.
All right. I wasn't listening. Dan, did you have a point to add to the topic?
It's just that we should talk about the people that are offering us garbage.
Yeah, but they're not here.
They
Well,
don't
Okay,
know
if somebody has
that-
information, if somebody has or is putting out information you don't agree with, then you don't have to listen to it or continue to listen to them, right? You have your choice of
I'd
what you're gonna.
appreciate it if you'd ask Austin right now to confirm the speculation that you attached to me. Just ask him right now if I
Why
was
don't
trying
you
to
ask him? You're a grown
Just
ass man.
ask
He's in
him
the chat
if
with
I
you.
was trying to help or not, Jill. Just ask
Why
him
don't
right
you ask
now.
him? Instead of playing
Because
these
he
he
knows
said, she said
he doesn't
games.
want to talk to me. He doesn't want to talk to me. And Gio
Neither
made
do
the
I.
accusation.
I don't.
I wonder why.
Hold on, Dan. We're not doing interpersonal dramas. Did you have something you
This
wanted to
isn't
add to the
interpersonal drama. This
We're
is
live
something
streaming.
you accused me of.
We're live streaming right now, Dan. So I'm going to unmute you, give you one last chance. Otherwise, we're going to leave you on mute. Did you want to add to the topic, the conversation? Go ahead. It's your last chance. Go ahead.
Okay,
Add
you
to the
won't
topic.
talk to
We're
me in
live
private.
streaming.
This
We're
is
not
my
talking about.
opportunity to clear my name in front of you.
We're not
because
doing that.
you're
That's not okay. I'm going to mute you again. That's not what this live stream is for, Dan. This live stream is for topics, engaging, intellectual discussion, so on and so forth. Sometimes debates. It's not for just blasting out all of your emotions and concerns about things that you feel have happened in interpersonal dramas. That's not what this is for. So I'm going to have to moderate for what the live stream is for. I don't want
Wait,
to
that's
just.
not what this is for?
Yeah,
Dang
I
it.
don't. I don't want to just shut you down. I'm going to unmute you. Did you want to add to a topic or something? This isn't the place to do that, to do what you're trying to do. So one last shot.
Well,
You want to
you
try to add
kept
something?
asking Elderbear, what's he getting at? What's he getting at? What's he getting at? And let me just summarize. He was feeling empty in some solidity, in someone having something solid to talk about and say, this is how I actually feel, not I don't know. And if we just keep going, we don't know, and then you got these other people you say aren't here, but they're saying they do know, but we don't talk about them. We don't condemn anyone who lies. Come on.
Are they propagating misinformation or disinformation or information that's just retarded?
Not only that, I've been chastised and tossed for
They
years.
are?
Yeah.
They are? Okay, so then we can ignore them and move on.
You can say that, but now we're including the entirety of Flat Earth. What do you
What if
got
we
left?
sent Beast
No,
over
that's what
to your
you're
house
doing,
to give
dude.
you a hug? Would that fix
No, I'm
things?
just saying, what do you got left? If you're
That includes you.
I mean, Dan, I don't agree with everything that's said. You know, just because somebody says they have a flat Earth or a planar stationary Earth cosmology doesn't mean that I agree. I'm just speaking for myself that I agree with everything they say. In fact, there's a lot of things I don't agree with.
You made
Why are
accusations.
you interrupting me?
Because
This
you
is
made
audio chaos.
accusations.
I was just responding to the topic. This is your topic. It's somewhat as we can talk on this. So we're not just. I was asking you not to go into all kinds of personal accusations and stuff because
It's
that's
not
not what this is
personal.
for. So
You
I was
fucking made a
responding.
false accusation.
You're interrupting me. I was responding, speaking my mind about how I live my life. That's all I was doing. It had nothing to do with you. What I was saying is that if there
You're
are
gonna be
people,
what?
you're just interrupting. I was speaking my mind. So what I was saying is that if there's people that I may agree on some things with, but don't agree with other things, then I might take what is useful or what I agree with. I might set aside what they're saying that I don't find useful or that I think is false or is not validated or supported. And if they are putting out a lot of information that's really off base, I may not continue to, listen to them or, subscribe to their channels or whatever it may be. So all I was doing was sharing how I go about that. And everybody's different. Just because people may agree on some component of a worldview doesn't mean that, we have to, agree on everything else they say or have to, represent or back up every single thing someone else says just because we agree on something.
Can you just, without any crappiness, can you understand that when I went to try and work in the field, that there was a collective note amongst FE Corps to not talk, right? We're not allowed to talk. Flat Earthers aren't working together. They're not going to work together. And this is something that needs to be spoken about openly.
This is
Is that
completely off topic of what was Witsit
no, it's
and Elder
not.
Bear
Again,
was
Elder Bear
actually
was
talking.
asking again.
But
Witsit specifically, you were down there. What do you think? You were there. You, as a representative of our little community, went. So asking him questions is legit.
You
Okay?
were the chosen one.
I'm
It's
I'm out of here,
totally
Yeah.
guys. Good night.
asking his perspective
That's kind of what I thought, really.
is
Thought it
totally
was
legit.
legit to ask the questions.
This is just
That's not
killing
what
me.
happened at all. Like Elder Bell interacted with me a couple hours ago. I sat there and I didn't know who it was. So I just answered the question like with full honesty and like, here's what I think now. It changed this for me now. Like this would be my two maybe most viable understandings of it now. And then it quickly became obvious that he didn't actually care about those things. He was just trying to get a gotcha. And he's just asking me all of these like bad faith questions and interrupting me and talking over me. Then he jumped back in this time. All of a sudden, I need to defend cell navigation and the size of the equator and answer all of his questions. Like
I'm
it
just
wasn't
interested in
anything about
your
you went to
position. That's
Antarctica and
all.
saw it.
Is it?
What is your experience?
I'm
And
only
that's not
interested in
what
your
happened.
position.
You've been backing up and
Because
you're backing up and you're backing
listen.
up. He just wants
What
to know
I've
where
been
you're
to,
parked. He just wants to know where the fuck you're parked. All right? You just
yeah.
keep backing up. So wherever you're going to
Well,
park, let us
if you're
maneuver
a
around you.
grown man and you need someone else to tailor your thoughts for you, then there is a conglomerate of sources that would happily do that for you. You were force fed them your whole life, where they take your brain out and fill it up for you. And if that's the way that people want to approach the world, they shouldn't be coming to me for that, since that's like exactly what I stand against. And I made that very clear as well, right? Like, not everyone is as comfortable with me not knowing things. I mean, so much so you got people claiming they know what's 4,000 feet or miles below their feet and what's 46 billion light years away from them. I just say I don't know, right? And I know people really spiraled about the sun. Like, dude, I told people before I went, if I saw it, it wasn't gonna change a ton. Other than now I know, and now we know a couple things don't work, and I still don't fully know how everything works. If that's not satisfactory to someone, I understand it. I don't have a personal obligation to hold their hand to some type of replacement, nor am I personally responsible for what their current position is.
We're not allowed to talk about your personal responsibilities.
Dude, and even with that thing that you
We're
keep
not
bringing
allowed
up,
to
you
talk
don't know
about
anything
that.
about it. You don't even know anything about that.
I definitely do, and I'd like you to
No, you
tell Gio
don't.
that I tried
You
to
don't.
help. I
No, you
tried
don't.
you to tell Gio
You
right now.
even
Right
he
now. Tell
stop.
him.
Even he didn't know about it. When I call when if
Fucking
you
tell him.
you're an
Shut up,
Man,
insane.
every
Gio.
time you drink your water, you get to acting crazy. You got to calm
Just
down, buddy.
fucking be honest, you guys. Be fucking honest.
This is where you think you know things you don't. And just like when I
Dave,
talked to him on the phone,
I
stop
begged
interrupting me, man.
you.
Stop interrupting me, man.
I begged you. You promised
Okay.
me.
Okay,
You
dude, bro.
promised me in writing, right? So just tell Gio I tried to help,
I
that
don't
you
know
made a
what
promise that you
dude.
didn't keep, and it
That
led to
isn't
the other
true.
stuff that
That
I'm
isn't
not telling
true.
everyone,
I'm
That
right?
not
isn't true.
crazy.
That isn't
Ah.
true. I went and talked to him on the phone and had to remind him of like 10 different things that we had agreed on that he didn't
Friend that
remember.
you owe
And
money to,
stop
dude.
interrupt. Dude, you have a problem, bro. Like, you don't know what you're
I have a
talking
problem with
about.
your integrity. Yes,
Okay,
because
cool.
you
Go.
told me
Okay,
to do
cool. So,
something in
whatever.
October. In October, it's been 120 days.
So hard to listen
Dude,
to,
Dan, if
Gio.
I was to have a list of people
Did you
that I
do
felt
it or not?
obligated to tell you everything that's been going on with me since October, you wouldn't make the list, bro.
You
Okay. And I
tell me
talked to
that
him
you
on
were
the
going
phone. I talked to Chris
to do it.
on the phone and explained everything to him. And every few weeks, it's like he forgets. Okay. And don't interrupt me again. I know him way better than you do. And the reality is, as I started to go through, are you talking? As I started to go through everything that happened that he didn't seem to remember, right? It actually starts to turn the other way around very quickly. Okay. So I'm not going to get into the specifics of that because it's no one in here's business, meaning like I would happily say my side of it, but I'm not going to say his side of it. I'm also not going to try to talk bad about him or anything. And I love him. He's like my brother. He told me he regretted talking to you about it. So like I don't know why you every single time I've been around you, you bombard me as though you're his attorney and you know way more about it than we do. But then I go talk to him and have lengthy conversations, and it's completely different. It's completely different. We're on good
Okay.
terms. I explain
Talk to him
everything
all
to
the
him. I
time.
talk to him
It's
about
not
all the
your only
details.
debt. It's not your only debt. Don't pretend it is. Don't pretend I don't know. Don't pretend you're afraid to talk to me. And tell Gio that I didn't go after you and I've been protecting you. Fucking tell him.
You're going after him right
What
now,
are you
motherfucker.
talking about? Yeah, like
Because
you're
That's for
Gio
damn
protecting
sure.
me.
accuses me of trying to drag you
Your
under the
version
bus.
of protecting someone is that if you actually come across some information that's personal, not telling the
It's
whole
not
world about it. You're like a
because it's
child. You're like a girl.
personal. It's you
Dude,
being
I don't
fucking
care to publicly
shitball.
state that Chris loaned me some money on the tour and then wants me to pay him back. And then I said, hey, yeah, do you remember all this stuff I paid you back? Do you remember all this stuff that I paid for you? Do you remember when we discussed that specifically and we came up with this specific plan to pay you back? And then I did that and some, right?
What
So
number are you pretending you came up with? Because
I
you
guarantee
told
you,
me in writing
you
in
don't
October
even
you were
know.
going to pay him. Now you're pretending you don't have to. Fine. So should we mention the other debt? The bigger one? The bigger problem? Or should you shut me up
Look,
now?
Why is
I
this
And
know how
personal
we can
What
though?
are you,
settle this,
dude? You're such
Dan.
a weirdo. You're
We can
such a
settle this by
weirdo.
starting a GoFundMe real quick and ask the community for money to settle this.
it's about you being
At
full
what
of
point
shit
in
and
time
me
did you
protecting
think,
you. I don't
dude,
need to protect you. In your writing, you're like, don't let this get out. Don't tell
I
anyone.
didn't
Fuck
say that.
you. Fuck you. Fuck
I
you.
didn't say that. You're a liar.
Why is this
Question. It's in
personal
writing. I'll bring
attack?
it up right the fuck now. I'll
Dude,
bring it up
This is what
right
Dan
in front
does,
of
Gio,
Stu.
you.
what's going
This is what he
on,
does.
dude,
Gio?
Dan,
He goes
dude,
after
how do
Please
you not
control
see
Dan.
that you're objectively weird for being so obsessed with my personal situation that you're in a personal live stream or in a live stream screaming about it? It's just weird to me,
Yeah,
bro.
sounds like audio chaos to me.
Yeah, it looks
Dan,
like
do
he
you
left.
filter that water, Dan?
He just left on his own. I was asking him not to do exactly that, but
Well,
he did.
what really sucks about situations like that is like, ironically, him talking about integrity is like all of these things that I could say, all like with everything in my personal life, all these things that I could say that would explain it, I am not going to do for the benefit of other people. So, like, I mean, I don't care if people believe that or don't believe that. I mean, that's just the truth, right? Like the whole last year that's been the situation. That's actually predominantly why I haven't even been online the last year. It wasn't because I chose to do that. It wasn't because I was scared of something. It wasn't. It just that I'm not going to like. I'm cool taking unnecessary shots to have integrity. So someone because and I'll just say it's pretty clear, right? I just said it. Like Chris bought him money. Chris told me I called him and talked to him about it, and Chris like literally like forgot all kinds of stuff, whatever. And he told me he regretted telling him, like he wanted to meet him up for lunch. They met up for lunch and he told him all this different stuff. And then Dan went crazy with it and started making stuff up that Chris supposedly said. And then it was insane. And then he talked to me and I'm like, yo, Chris hates me now. What is he talking about? So then I talked to Chris and it's like not the case at all, obviously,
Yeah,
So
even the
Bro, this is
your
your
whatever.
personal
personal
shit,
shit. You
bro.
don't owe
Your
anybody
personal shit,
anything.
you don't even need to tell anybody any explanation for, bro. It's your personal
Yeah,
finances. That is nobody's business, bro.
I agree 100% with Elbow. Nobody deserves an explanation on your personal life. They can eat a dick.
Yeah, I was telling the only thing I even know about this was Dan like DMing me out of the blue and just saying all this stuff. And I even said to him, I was like, dude, this sounds like some personal things between other people. Like people have their personal lives. So, and he's been coming in here being like, I have something that if anyone DMs me, I'll tell them. And I don't know, he DM'd it to me and just, so yeah, but I don't know why he's so focused on that.
Yeah, well, I don't
Well,
know, man.
well,
Like the way he
well,
phrased it to me, it was basically like Chris was in turmoil about it, right? And he was being a good friend. He was like virtue signaling about it. But like I talked to him, and like Chris is going through some stuff, and I know all kinds of stuff about what's happened to Chris that's unfortunate and unfair and all this stuff, right? But like I'm not saying any of that stuff publicly. And I mean, I will just say, like with the tour, the reality of the tour, dude, was that when we totaled it up, I spent over $120,000. So I just let that sit in for a second. So for like 15 months or so, I spent over $120,000, dude, from like repairs to like feeding everybody to like an insane amount in gas, all these crazy things. And then I'm paying for a house where I'm not living in it. And then eventually, after like 5 months of paying for it, past the lease month to month where I'm not even living in it, we go back through Tennessee. I sell all my stuff for next to nothing, basically give it away just to continue the tour. And literally every dollar that came in, I was just like funding everybody. So like, it is kind of frustrating where like someone can come along at the tail end of that and then try to paint me as being some like person that has no integrity and is taking money or something. Like it's like, what do you? I spent literally every dollar I had. I emptied all my crypto investments. I did everything just to fund that tour. Right? Like that's what actually happened. And that's because I was like, I didn't really know where we were going. I didn't know if we were going to ever get out of lockdown. I didn't know if this was going to be like more of a permanent thing that we were in and out of. Right. And I'm like, whatever, we got to like get the word out however we can. We were getting censored all over every platform. So I'm like, we'll just go tell people in our life. So whatever, bro. I will say this, right? Like this is the thing, right? So like, most people that kind of like do YouTube or like a stream or something, like let's just like if you name some of the more popular streamers like Sneeko, Nick Fuentes, like name them. Those are some pretty popular ones, or whoever you name, right? Like they don't come in Discord for like extended periods of time for hours, like an open book, like taking all questions for reasons like this, right? Like you can't even imagine, right? Like they stay in a very controlled environment. They're on their platform with their chat, with their moderators. And if people even start chatting things they shouldn't, they get blocked and banned from the chat. Same on their Twitter accounts or whatever. And so I don't miss this component of it, like if I'm being honest. And I'm not asking for any like thing to be done about that per se. I'm just explaining so you guys understand my perspective. Like this part of it was not the part that like made me want to come back. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, because like I don't really see that happening to anyone else. So I mean, you know, I don't know. I guess someone could say like you signed up for it or something, but it's kind of annoying. All right, I'll stop ranting, but it's annoying. I feel like I feel like I am, tied up where I'm not going to say certain things. And I think that there's like an unspoken code of certain things that shouldn't be said. Like, I definitely think stuff like with my wife and with my children, like that just like that stuff shouldn't be publicly talked about. I think stuff like with Chris or whoever, I don't know. Maybe people are different. I just don't, I think that's lame. I think even like leaking screenshots of text messages and DMs, I think that's super lame, right? Like it's something that I don't participate in, and no one's gonna be able to bait me into it. Like he said the debt thing out loud, so I acknowledged it, but like generally speaking, right, I'm not really going to, and I'm just whoever's in here that's planning to try to keep doing that. Like I'm not going. You're not gonna get me to like expose other people or reveal tons of personal things that would affect other people. I'm just not going to do it. So I would appreciate it if you kind of chill out with it. Which one would happen realistically?
Yeah, I mean, if no one else is jumping in, it's just kind of a unique type of community situation. Like you said, there's other people that are either like there's like politicians, there's musicians, or actors in Hollywood, and I'm sure like if there's any public notoriety with somebody, they're gonna get, there's a paparazzi for the Hollywood guys. People get probably attacked in different ways, and if you're any type of public figure. So yeah, people who are public figures have some way to kind of try to keep their private life different than their personal life. Obviously, then there's people that are either like vindictive or they want to try to slander that person or do whatever. So that's just kind of like a dynamic in the world, I guess, between the public and personal, and especially if somebody's a public figure because they have some kind of cause that they want to be doing something in the public, then there's like a certain risk involved where it's like, okay, their private life may not be as private as other people. Like if other people who aren't a public figure, their private life can be kept more private, and so on. Whereas other people that are public figures, there's people are going to be, digging and trying to attack. And so there's that factor. And then in terms of like these discussions in this community, it's kind of unique because it's sort of small in a way. Like, I mean, there's probably millions of people out there that know about the cosmology, but I'm just saying, in the ones that are like actively talking about it. And then there's, you can do like YouTube type things where it's just like one person doing a stream or a small panel or something where it's more kind of, kind of like regulated in terms of who's speaking. But then like in an environment like this, where it's sort of like this community, people have known each other for years. I hear you though, like all the personal, I mean, that's why we have to try to moderate for personal attacks. There is something awesome about having the open panel though, like allowing sort of everyone from the human community at large to come together, especially when there's like so few people, comparably that are actually talking about it compared to how many people are in the world. Like how many people really interested who even know about 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Like if they released that documentary, which I guess now Duffy's like asking for 50 grand, I guess, to try to finish it. But I've always thought like, even if they do that, like, I don't know that the population is really going to care. Like a lot of people don't even really understand what a 24-hour sun is or why there would or wouldn't be one in the different polls and things. So I'm just saying like people that even know about this topic, it's kind of cool that like we can all from all around the world that we can come together. And yeah, ideally if it's like there's no interruptions and it's a good live stream, that's ideal. But then like I was saying though, it's like giving yourself, on the other hand, if it's just everybody has an open mic, then yeah, people can do all the personal attack stuff and lies and slanders and deceptions and attacks. And obviously you get attacked a lot. I mean, we can mod for it. I mean, it's like, what are the options? Like, we just don't do this at all. Just don't have an open panel stream at all. That's one option. And just, we can't come together and have these combos. And like we have all day, it's been like amazing stuff we've been, going through and stuff. So there's that option. Or we just mod really strictly. The minute someone does personal attacks, they get muted. Of course, they're going to feel shut down. I mean, that's one option. Or we just have this like airing out dirty laundry personal attack bonanza where anyone can just come in and start calling someone agents and all the wild stuff, that people say. So it's tough. It's a fine line.
Yeah, well, dude, check this out, right? Like I'm super anti-censorship, but like this is like the weird thing. Okay, so I can understand people if, like if there is this suspicion that somebody that they listen to or they viewed a certain way, if there are like these rumors or suspicions that they aren't really who they say they are, or they're being manipulative, or something that would show that they don't have integrity, something like that, right? Like where, like, I understand the motivation and I think it's like fair, right? Like, um not only is that kind of like a part of like public life or whatever, but it's like a good part of it, I think, in a way, right? Like it's an unfortunate but necessary part, I think is how I would say it, right? Like it's unfortunate for the person that does it because realistically, like everyone has a personal life, everyone has experienced things that they necessarily can't predict or isn't like the best situation ever or whatever, right? But there can be like a sincere motivation for like asking the questions, right? Like, is this person like like a evil person? Is this person like a grifter? Is he lying? Is he manipulating people? Whatever it is, right? Like, is this person talking to little kids? Is this person beating his wife? Is this person stealing money? Like all these things, right? And I get that, but like what normally happens is like it's like in these situations, it's not even that motivation. It's not like someone asking me genuinely, because the people that do that, they normally like reach out to me privately, and I usually tell them. Although it's a risk, right? Because like I have no guarantee that they won't go tell other people. I won't go show messages or whatever. But that's not really what that was. I mean, so that's the part that makes it a little trickier, right? Because like in that situation, what option A is to just not respond, like to call for him to be modded or to try to shut down what he's saying, and or just go quiet or whatever, or just refuse to engage. And that looks like suspicious, right? As though there is something to hide or I am doing something wrong. And he does have this like huge thing that would expose me, which is what he's like, well, how's he trying to present it? Um, so then I kind of have to say something. And my issue with that is it's actually much less about me because I'm kind of used to that. Like, I guess, like, you do sign up for it, like I didn't ever do this signing up for something like that, right? Like, I didn't really, I mean, I don't want to ramble too long, but like, I've told you guys, I know Geo, right? Like, I don't really love the idea of like being famous or something. And I wouldn't consider myself that at all, but, like, just a little taste of it here and there, I don't like it, that's just not my thing. I didn't do any of this for that at all, and I would think that me just completely disappearing for a year almost, like, really for more than a year would kinda prove that, but that isn't really my motive, so that's why it sucks for me is it's like, if I, like, grew up working my whole life towards this goal of being famous and that was my objective, then like, yeah, it comes with that. It wasn't really my objective. And then like it has like all these other downsides that it comes with. Like if I'm like looking for normal jobs, it's like basically impossible. Like, yeah, I could go like work at Home Depot, maybe, right? Because like they'll look my name up. You know what I'm saying? And so it just depends on the manager and like, do they get triggered about Flat Earth, whatever. But for any other like front facing company and stuff, it's like very difficult. You have to have connects or whatever. So I've had like all my I'm not gonna go on like a sob story, right? But like I've had my bank account since Antarctica, I've had two bank accounts attacked and one of them attacked twice. And like I mean attacked, like wiped out. Two of those three times, like wiped out. And you know, one of them isn't necessarily related to what I talk about or anything, but the other one I suspect was. And so, like, I don't I'm not gonna, like, come on here and, okay, I guess I'll summarize it with this, right? Like, there are some people that, like, their kind of role or whatever is, like, to talk about relationships or to talk about like, that's not my thing. I don't care to do that. I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to talk about other people. Like, I genuinely don't wanna talk about other people. And for me to legitimately answer some questions that are, like, being posted on videos or that have been even mentioned in here, it requires me to, potentially hurt other people and to release information that, like, they certainly didn't sign up for. So, like, you get it, bro? I don't wanna deal with that, like, even I know Chris didn't sign up for that. Chris did not ask him to come in here and scream and start talking about that like, he didn't do that or he would do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, to me, that's all very gay. I think people should be much more considerate of other people, and you may even, like, your motivation may be to, like, attack me or expose me or something, but you should be more considerate of maybe other people because like, they're still, like, humans. And most people that like Geo is describing, when you're like that big, I mean, everybody's signing NDAs. Literally everyone signs NDA, to avoid this. And um, okay, you get it. I will say, I suspect it to get much worse. Ironic, because I was telling someone about this yesterday. Like, I expect this to get pretty bad when I do this debate, like against Israel. and etc. Like I kind of expect a full attack like this. So I guess it's cool to get a warm up maybe. As to your general question, like I don't have as like I think it should always still stay the open forum. I come in here under my free will, you know what I mean? And I'm not I don't have to interact with anybody, and I wouldn't necessarily like if someone's just gonna scream and berate and not let me talk, like I think that should be modded like normal, like with me if I do it to somebody. But outside of that, I don't really care. I don't really care. It's unavoidable, nothing I can do about it. And I just, yeah, I get it's a tricky situation for me because if I don't say anything and if I shut it down, it kind of looks bad. And then maybe I should just do that and like let it look bad and let people make up whatever. I don't know. Okay. That's my take. I don't think you should change anything about it per se.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, there's kind of limited of what we can do. I mean, it looks like Dan's now posting. Is that your private DMs? That's what I'm saying. We just have to mod it, or we just don't let people be here, right? But then it's like, okay, then Dan's gone, this person's gone, that person's gone. You know what I mean? If you start adding up, I mean, it's not everybody that does this stuff, though. It's only a few. But
Okay, see, when I said please do not say things, it's extremely sensitive. It was about look, I say the last 9 months of my life have been the hardest of my life. And then I said, please don't say anything. It was about that, right? It was where I explained what was going on and asked him to please not say anything about it. So then he comes in
Yeah,
here
but that's a
pretending
big
I said,
problem. That's a big problem. It's like he came in bitching about the integrity of people, and you asked him not to say anything. It's like, where is his integrity on the matter?
yeah.
You get what I mean? It's like, this is personal shit, man. Like, keep it personal.
Yeah, I'm just explaining that that was painted as though he came to me saying like I owe someone money. I said, yeah, please don't say anyone. I'm so like that's not what happened. I just explained to him the general context and was like, yo, please don't say anything about this. I don't remember what all I told him, which kind of sucks. I maybe should have been wiser than that, but and it's because it's like very sensitive, like it says right there, and sensitive meaning like certain things being circulated can be very damaging for me and like my children. So it's like super serious and I've taken like no chances with that to the point that I don't even live stream because I know I just naturally like start talking and answering questions like real like transparently and I'll just maybe slip up and say things and like it's really sensitive. And I feel like people should be able to put that together, right? So whatever. But that is pretty gay. I mean, I guess he cut it out, so maybe it's not as bad as it could be. That was the preface to me telling him. Anyway, man.
well, that's what I'm saying, dude. This is kind of a unique community to where, like I said, there's only sort of a limited number of people that are actively knowledgeable and talking about, a lot of these topics. Of course, there's many more that are not actively daily necessarily like as involved. But I mean, think about like someone like Tom Cruise or one of those guys. Like if they went into like a Discord voice channel with like 50 people that all wanted to shout and scream and say wild stuff, you know what I mean? Like they couldn't even live their lives probably. Like I think a lot of those guys, they have to just completely like that joke of like, don't Google yourself kind of thing and all the stuff at that level. And who knows what paparazzi and whatever goes on with some of those guys. But yeah, so that's like an extreme version of it. But yeah, this is kind of a unique situation. And I don't think anyone should really have to go through all of that, to have to like, yeah, when all kinds of like personal stuff is being blasted out, in terms of in some way. I hear what you're saying about like, yeah, if somebody was like doing something illegal or corrupt or whatever, that like in a community there should be some mechanism to, like I guess that whole thing of like calling someone out or kind of exposing. And I mean, I understand that like there could be some context for that. I don't know what the ideal solution is, but it almost needs like a court case or whatever it would be. Maybe. I mean, I'm not saying we should do that, but I mean, I understand that idea that people, because some people really feel like they want to expose someone, you know, but it's this fine line between like, oh, I'm going to expose this person and I guess show everyone that they're, you know, whatever it is, they want to show everybody that. But then there's this fine line that, like, first of all, if they're delusional or if they're wrong, then now they're just spreading false information and just lying or slandering. So that's a problem if they're doing that, you know. And then also it's like some of these, like, whatever accusations are going to be difficult for someone to like prove as well. Like, we're online, we're all remote, we live in different parts of the world, you know. So it's just this fine line, and we've seen it all happen in this community. You know, this guy's a shill, this guy's, you know, like I even heard well, I won't say who. Anyways, I listened. I wasn't there, but when Q-Op and Krizzel and those, where they were all going after you, and I was listening to that. I guess I will mention it. Krizzel said something like you got arrested and then you got hired by the government. Like, what a claim, you know what I mean, to say that. Like, does she have any proof of that? I guess I did say it. She is in here. I don't know. It's just claims like that all of a sudden are then just thrown out, and it's like,
No,
you know,
I said somebody who's arrested more than once. I don't trust that guy. That's something totally different.
Okay, well, cool. That's not what you said.
I thought you said that because he was arrested once or twice,
that is the conclusion that stems from that.
Okay, so you did say it. So everyone that's been arrested more than once works for the government. Yikes.
No, anybody who lies about it and hides it, that's suspicious.
Never once have I ever denied that I've been arrested multiple times. In fact, I've been more transparent about my arrest than probably anyone on the whole internet, telling the full length story of each arrest multiple times. What are you talking about?
Well, you need to misrepresent what people say in here when you're talking about going back to time. When I was talking about cyclical thing, going back in time for events that happened through time, and you made of it that I was saying you can go back into time and returning it back to time, back in time, back in time. That was not what I said, Witsit. That makes you a liar.
Yeah, see how you just got called out for your claim and then immediately deflected to something completely different. And even what you deflected to, man, was like it was actually a conversation about
I said
time.
what I said. I said you got multiple arrests, and that's for me. That then you are a government operate because nobody gets put out
Well,
of
you're dumb.
jail for the offense that you did. Everybody else get locked up,
What
but
are you?
Witsit doesn't get locked
Wait,
up.
time out,
How
time out,
come?
time out. Wait, get locked up for what offense? Just say it. Which offense?
The
There's
devil's
multiple
lettuce.
people just in jail for just having some weed in their pocket with Witsit. Don't pretend that it ain't like that.
it isn't
Okay,
like
so
that.
this person just has no idea what they're talking about. I was
I'd
raised
like
in
to
Tennessee,
introduce you to my
where
brother.
literally, with literally a weed seed in Tennessee, you'll get locked up, and it's less of a big deal now in 2026. Like you'll get a ticket sometimes for small amounts, but when I was in college, dude, they would like railroad you for small amounts of weed. You have no idea what you're talking about. Like literally, my life is a living testament
Yeah.
of
So
it.
what you're still doing on the streets then, Witsit?
What am I doing on the streets? What does that mean? I've been completely sober for like 7 years.
You made a Fed deal over a weed seed, Krizzel. You got it. You cracked the code.
Yeah, I mean, Krizzel,
Yeah,
cannabis.
everybody else gets put behind bars for that. People have been put behind bars for less, but Witsit gets a free
So
pass.
so a second ago it was like no one gets arrested for just small amounts of weed, and then it was people get put behind bars for a long time for less than that. Like, dude, here's the deal: the standard punishment
Misrepresenting again what I
no,
said.
just quoting
Total
you.
gaslight.
No, I'm not. So, just so you know, right? Like, there's a standard punishment for weed in Tennessee, right? If it's a personal amount under I think it's an ounce or half an ounce, then it is 1 year and up to 1 year in jail. So it's like $1,000 fine, up to 1 year in jail. In your first offense, you never actually get a year in jail. You always like get probation, right? I got arrested for it was like 2.7 grams of weed, and the whole story is ridiculous, right? Like I would have my dog in my car when I drove around sometimes, and most of the people I hung out with at the time were black, and like I swear the cops like hated me because all my friends were black. And anyway, to expedite this, right? Just to give an example of how like I not only don't lie about it, I am very transparent about all of it. Like we were in college, went to the apartment right off the campus. This guy got in trouble and actually got arrested. And his girl was at his apartment. They lived together, and my friend's Xbox was in there, and he wanted it back. So we had to try to go get it back. She refused to give it to us. So he said, "I'm gonna have to call the police to get it back." And we were all like, "You're gonna call the police here?" Like it was just so counterintuitive for him to call the police because we were always smoking weed. And we're like, okay, so I went and preemptively moved my car away from the parking spot near the apartment, all of that. And then they came, they helped him get his Xbox. And then sure enough, they said, "Are you Austin? What's it? We need to talk to you," you know? And they said, "We heard you're letting your dog live in your car. We need to see it." And I'm like, "What? My dog doesn't live in my car. That isn't true at all. My dog lived in my apartment with me, you know?" And they're like, "Well, we have to see it or whatever." I'm like, "Do you?" And they found it parked like in the parking lot and then blocked it in with two cop cars in the front and back. And then they started looking inside of it, and the dog was in there with the windows down because we just like walked over to the apartment to get the Xbox real quick. And they said, "We see a Swisher wrapper in here, so we need to search the car." And I'm like, "What? If you're going around a college campus and anytime you see a Swisher, you're searching their car, you'd be searching everyone's car, and that's not legal at all." And, they just didn't care and then kept me blocked in there and said I had to let them search it. And that if I let them and they found something, they'd just write me a ticket. But if they had to go through getting a warrant, that they would arrest me. And I called their bluff, and then I heard them actually calling in to get the warrant. So I'm like, okay, whatever, you can search it. They searched it, didn't even find it for a while. I'm like, dude, it's in the backpack. So they opened up my backpack, found the weed. Actually, my friend had a little bit of lean, like cough syrup, in a bottle in there, and luckily they didn't even notice that. Um, and yeah, it was like 2.7 grams of Kush. It was like a bunch of shake from like an ounce, ironically. And they wrote me a ticket, like they said they would. And yeah, so whatever. And the story was really crazy because my friend had his backpack in there, and I think he had like his gun with him, and I'm like really trying to prioritize them not getting in trouble and like getting to walk away with their backpacks. So I'm like distracting the cops. Okay, yeah. So then a week later, which was 1 week before my birthday, when I was still scheduled to go to court for that ticket, um, I went to a party and got dropped off by a girl who wanted me to go to a frat party, but I didn't want to go. I'm outside my apartment. I'm smoking a Newport. They pull up and um, they literally just like throw me on the ground and tell me to give me my ID. And they claim that they just hated me, bro. And they said that they wanted that I was underage drinking, and so they were going to take me in for underage consumption. And I'm like, dude, I literally just had a DD drop me off, turned down going to another party. I'm like literally being responsible. And whatever. They pulled me in. When I got to the police station, this is 5 days or something before I turned 21. And then when they're searching me, that little bitty pocket on your jeans, like the little bitty one that you can like put half a bic in or whatever, like they were searching me and they were like, "Is there anything in here I'm gonna find?" And right as they were asking me, they were looking in that pocket, and I remembered that I had kept like a like little crumb of weed to put in like a gravity bong, like a little flow gravity bong, to hit the next morning after I drank. And I was like, "Oh," and she's like, "What is it, weed?" Like they knew me. It's like a small college, and they pulled the butt out and got all excited and put it on the scale. It didn't even register. The story's almost over, but it didn't even register. And they're like, "How much does that weigh?" I'm like, not even point one." And then she said, "Point one." He said it and wrote down point one. So like it wasn't even point 0.1 grams of weed. So, like, you clearly have no idea. It wasn't even zero point 0.1 grams of weed, and they charged me with that and underage consumption. And then when I saw the judge, and I had to stay in there for a while. When I saw the judge, he's yelling at me, "You think you can do whatever you want? You before you could even get here for the weed the first time, you get caught with weed again," and like made an example out of me basically. When the guy in front of me got caught with almost an ounce, and like he was super chill because he had a nice attorney that he paid for. And so then the rest of the story is also just insane. I ended up doing like um I had done 14 days. They let me out. or I did 7 days, and they let me out to go do finals, and then I had to turn myself back in to do the remainder, like 20, like 3 days or whatever, and then they put me on probation and drug tested me. I fell for weed, and then they made me go to rehab for weed. And, I ended up going to rehab for I went to jail for 2 weeks, and then they transferred me to a rehab for 6 weeks, and then they, kicked me out of that rehab for saving my ibuprofen and putting it in a pocket or whatever. It's like a Christian one. And then they put me back in jail for 10 days and then put me back in rehab for a 30-day rehab where everyone else was there for like meth and heroin and crack, and all that. I was a snitch because I said I was in there for like weed. And then I completed that program, got out, got returned back to um, the jail, and then or the judge or whatever, and he like released me. And all of that was for 2.7 grams of weed and less than point 0.1. And it ended up kind of turning into like a year of my life with probation and all that. So that's one story. No one's hiding that. I mean, like, yeah, I got arrested for weed. Oh my God, you got me. And all my arrests are me drinking, me smoking weed, me being where there was weed on the RV. That was the more recent one. And there was the domestic issue, which is again a situation where like if I say all the details, it would exonerate me, but I'm not going to. And yeah, there you go. But like this is the thing, right? Not only do I not work for the government, like I sat in jail for 18 days because I wouldn't snitch on someone else. Please stop slandering me, bro. It just makes no sense. I've never even been charged with a serious enough charge that you would ever even be asked to cooperate. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you're from America or not, but you stop pretending you know about the laws if you're not. Like I've never even been asked to cooperate, because and the one charge, the recent one, the domestic situation, they did not even pursue the charges. I didn't get an attorney. I didn't do anything. They just dropped them because they were so ridiculous and provably false. So, okay, there's that. And I don't have to do that kind of stuff, but it's whatever. Who cares? I mean, because my mugshots, I do look crazy in my mugshots usually, and it's like a go-to thing that people love to drop and talk about. So can now that I spent all that time to tell you that, can you like stop talking about it? Can you stop lying about it?
Can you stop misrepresenting what people say then, Witsit? Can we agree on that?
I don't believe I was misrepresenting you. If I was, I'm sorry, right? Like,
Yes, you did.
you think I was intentionally misrepresenting you?
Yes, you were intentionally misrepresenting you, and you were playing that
Oh my
tape
God.
like a little child. That's what you were
That's not what
doing.
happened. We were talking about the claim that I still remember all of it. Like I've experienced this the last year or more where people like try to gaslight me and stuff like that. Like I have a really good memory. It's just not gonna work, bro. And like I am a little bit sensitive to
Well,
that
I have
now.
a
I'm just gonna
really
be
good
honest.
memory as well,
I'm pretty
Witsit.
I'm pretty sensitive to that now. So like I'm just not gonna tolerate that stuff, bro. Like um that's not what
Well, I'm
happened,
not
right? We were having a
tolerating it
conver I'm
either
about
from you.
okay, let's see. Do you remember the context of the conversation? Well,
Are you
like
talking about
what
just
started it?
a day or two ago with QOP and
No,
whatnot?
this no no no. This was like
No, this was a
um
while ago.
months ago. Yeah. And it was about what? Do you remember?
What I was talking about was about going back in time, that you can see that there is a cyclical nature of our world. And you made from it that I was saying you can go back in time, which I didn't say.
Okay. See how she just said you can go back in time, and then you said I was saying you could go back in time, which I didn't say. So
I
like
said, when you go back in time, and you made of it to go back in time, that's a fucking big difference with it.
no, that's not well, at the time I did not claim you said that we could literally traverse time. I did not say that. What happened was that was when I forgot the name of the PhD Tony. He was trying to defend this idea that Stephen Hawking had proposed that like time is basically like a physical shape and should get out of like the universe problem and there needing to be a god. He tried to like propose this idea that it's like a circle, so that it never ends or whatever. and we were talking about that, and then so the people in the room that had decided to defend the position there was no creator, right? All like oddly started trying to defend it, and you know that's like an indefensible position. And then in the context of like a 20-minute conversation with Tony and someone else trying to swear to me that that was somehow viable, that time was a shape, like a circle or like a sphere, and how you can walk along it. It's like a surface and you can walk all this stuff. And then Krizzel jumped in that combo, like ostensibly defending in that position, saying that you could, like when you go
No,
back
I
in time or
said it's
whatever.
like a snake eating its tail. It has really no end and no beginning. That's what I said.
Right. But that doesn't make any sense, right? In the context of the whole argument, which we don't have to rehash, right? But
When you're
the first
talking
and
about
second law of
cyclical
thermodynamics.
nature of our world, it does make sense, and that's what you don't get.
But you don't get to just start with everything that's in the world to explain how everything in the world got here, right? So you have the first and second law of thermodynamics. That was the argument that he tried to invoke that as a response to. So whatever. The point is that you said the phrase like back in time multiple times, and then I'm like, wait, so let me understand this. You can't. I rebutted it and said like, you can't go back in time and
No,
invoke
I
the
said
beginning to then
when
say
you go back in time, you're doing it again.
you just to see, okay? And so then you swore up and down you never said the phrase back in time. And I said, you did say that. I mean, do you want to explain what you meant? I did not ever say that. You're gaslighting me.
No, I
Usually at
said
your POS.
when you go back in time, and you clip that off.
I didn't clip anything off because I played the full like 15 seconds before and after it. So yeah.
No, you didn't.
See, this is exactly like what happened then, where you swore you didn't say it, and that I was gaslighting you, and that I was a liar, and all this stuff, and made me go get it. And then I played it, right? And then you got quiet. That's what actually happened.
No, you only played it back in time, and then you muted me. That's what you did.
I haven't muted someone on this server in like years, bro. That's objectively not true. And like, yeah, maybe I've technically muted someone, but it's like insanely rare. I know I did not mute you while I was talking to you. So please, can you do me a favor and stop just making stuff up? Do you see the repeated nature here of
No, you stop lying, Witsit.
you are projecting because you are lying. Like you just claimed I muted you, but I didn't mute you. Right. So you see how that's a lie?
Somebody muted me. Might not be you, but
Okay.
somebody muted.
Okay. So if somebody muted you, but not me, then would it be cool to say, and then you muted me? No, it's not. And you don't know that I muted you. You just made it up. So stop saying it. Just like you don't know I supposedly made a deal with the government, right? You're just making it up.
When my mic is muted, I'm muted. Don't know how it works for you.
All right, this is not even like can't even pretend to be substantive anymore. I don't even know, like whatever. Okay, it's kind of a waste of time. It's all good. Like I, I know you're not gonna do it probably, but I'm just asking that you please just stop lying about me, right? Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you stop lying about me, which you're doing still on and on and on, because you're still saying what I didn't say.
Wow, what
Okay,
a stupid
whatever.
woman. Shut up. Holy
All right,
shit.
that doesn't help. Like okay, agree to
Yeah,
disagree,
go
right?
go crawl in his ass.
Okay, so agree to disagree. Like I'm pretty sure like everyone in the room like agreed that what they were trying to tell you. Like we just heard you say that though, and you said I never said those words, and I'm like, whoa, you did say those words, and you call me a liar, and I was a gaslighter, and
I
all this
said
crazy stuff.
when you go back in time. I never said go back in time alone. So if you can't understand what the difference is in between those two things, then I don't know what to say to you, Witsit. You're
Oh
just a
my.
liar.
So wait,
Okay.
you're saying that
Again.
you're saying that you just said go back, like when you think about back in time rather than like time traveling. Is that all that's being said here? Like when you think about, like if I was to
Exactly.
say,
I
oh,
said
what?
when you go back in time, when you look at the cyclical nature of our world, that's what I said. Nothing more. I didn't say you could travel back in time, and that's what he's making of it back
That
then.
that isn't what happened. I never once claimed you said we could time travel. That isn't what happened. That I was refuting the argument itself, which is that you just skipped past the meeting of a beginning. And I said, you can't say go back in time. You're becking the question. Then you said, I never said go back in time. And it's still right now the same point. While you're talking about theoretically going back in time, you were presenting the idea of the snake eating its tail, where time is cyclical, therefore never ending and perpetual. And the rebuttal is still, you can't invoke a beginning to then skip past the beginning. You can't just invoke it existing
You
and then
can't
avoid
even
the.
find the beginning of your universe. That means your time has no beginning and no end with it.
I don't can you don't guaranteed you don't know my argument. So, it's all good, but like we both know you don't know my argument. So why are you pretending you know I'm wrong about it?
Keep missing.
What?
Dude, I swear to God, women can't take accountability. Like, holy shit. I'm sorry, but Jesus.
Because I don't think you know my argument. It's all good, but it's like first law of thermodynamics, second law, matter and energy cannot be created nor destroyed. We have matter and energy here. So we ask the question, how did matter and energy get here? Well, if we're going to say that it can't be created nor destroyed, and we're not going to invoke something that's supernatural that can violate that natural law, then we have to say it was always here, right? Which is effectively what you are saying. The problem with that, though, is that entropy exists and the amount of usable energy decreases. In order for it to decrease, it has to have a beginning point to decrease from. You cannot infinitely regress. If it decreases, it's decreasing from a previously larger amount that had to have a beginning point to decrease from. Very basic logic, bro. So, like, okay, well, if it had to have a beginning point, and we go back to the first law, matter and energy cannot be created or destroyed, we have to violate that because it had a beginning. So it had to be put here. It had to not be here and then be here, right? And so now we have to invoke some type of causal agent that isn't limited to natural law, which is by definition supernatural, attributed to a force that's not limited to the laws of nature.
Yeah. What about pressure?
What about it? Like a byproduct of energy, which comes after energy's here.
No, you need that pressure to get that energy with it.
What?
Electricity is a unification of the magnetic and the electromagnetic. It's counter-rotating fields pushed together what gives you that current in between them in the first place.
Yeah, the energy existing, right? Because magnetism is also energy. The energy itself is generating pressure and it mediates. So you have pressure mediation as a byproduct of the energy relative to the ether, right? So whatever. I mean, even if you say pressure was like, are you saying that pressure created energy?
Yeah, for and close. Oh, I got a phone call. I gotta go.
Yeah. So then pressure would be supernatural because it created energy and violated the first law. And, okay. I don't get it, but whatever. Yikes. The actual context of that was that there was like I don't know where this is now, right? But like that was when like regularly people were making the logic proves God argument, and then a lot of people were frustrated with them. And when I mentioned my God argument, people like I kind of feel like I got lined up with them, and they were like It was very tribalistic.
Yeah, that's been going on for a while, like some with that, and yeah, I can see what you're saying. If you put that forth, and then if people kind of like express their frustration on that, basically on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That.
Well, all right. It's been nice chilling, and I'm going to catch a few Z's, and I think I might stream tomorrow night if I can get everything ready. So I'll try and drop that in here or drop in here tomorrow.
Right on. Sounds good. I have some thoughts about, yeah, I mean, dude, you, not that we have to keep going all on it and you're about to head off, but I mean, dude, you do get attacked like more than anyone. And then the Antarctica thing, I mean, it's like, what is like, remember that time that MC Toon was like, he's like, I'm going to bully you off the internet. Like he literally said that to you, that he wanted to like bully you off the internet, which is such like a dark thing. Like that's on a recording. I forget what recording it's on, but like, is that really a consciousness that people have, that they actually want to do that? And by like just harassing, lying, slandering, whatever they got to do? Or is it like sort of like a spiritual war kind of thing where, you know, the truth and then deception and like the demonic kind of layer of people that want to either like keep deceptions going or want to stop people from getting the truth out there or from exploring it? How much of it is that? You know, the attacks that go on. I mean, obviously attacks go on in other like areas too, like even, you know, in politics and just other, you know, worlds of people connecting. But it does seem like with the shape of the earth one, it's like obviously huge in terms of the amount of attacks, the amount of stuff. I mean, it's pretty wild that all you did was took a vacation to Antarctica basically, and to have that much like kickback. Like how many other people in this world could have taken a trip there and gotten that amount of kickback? Probably no one other than in this community. You would to get that much kickback. Like most people would be like, "Oh, you took a beautiful trip to Antarctica? Wow, beautiful! I'd love to take that someday." You know, and then if you were to show them like all your emails and messages and everything, it's like, you know, they would have to understand like what is
weinig voor een kokwous gewoon.
what is like lurking. Hold on, Chris, you're hot micing. Like what's like lurking under the surface of people. So yeah, man. I mean, I don't know, dude. You do get attacked a lot. It's really not fair. I mean, even since the Antarctica thing, like I've been attacked even more than I ever was before, in certain ways. And it's like if you're living your life where you are going to be engaging with people regularly, to have that happening, you know, in real life, like you would just not remain friends with that person if you knew them, you know. But at the same time, like people work with people at like a job, you know, you work with someone and maybe that person is antagonistic, and then you have to choose, okay, do I leave the job or do I stay there? And so I don't know. You said you're about to jump off, so I don't want to like. We don't have to go into the whole thing, but it just. I would like everybody to be able to engage here and not feel like, you know, that they're just going to be completely attacked. And then there's all the modding that has to happen, and it's like, do we just let this stuff fly? Like, how many times is QOP going to come in when you're here doing that? You know, he's doing it to me too. He's done it to me for. He made some video with a bunch of lies and deceptions, just absolute provable lies. He tried to dox me and failed at his attempt. And so I kind of know what you mean in a way. Like I've never really been attacked like that, but I guess maybe because like I maybe because you're a moderator here, but also like just the Antarctica thing in general, and maybe because like we're an active server. I don't know what all the reasons are, but yeah, like so I it's just anyways. I'll stop, but I don't know if
Hey,
there's any.
hey, Gio, I'll add to that. That there's always a trade-off. You know what I'm saying? There's always a trade-off if you're effective, especially when you're like the biggest threat to people's like reason for living or their paradigm or whatever it is. That's like, I mean, it's sensitive. We've all experienced it with our family members. Or you know, we've had friends, longtime friends that just won't even talk to us anymore over this. And, nothing we did except for mention the idea. So somebody that's actually showing how ridiculous the globe paradigm is in a way that no one really ever has, like Witsit, then, there's going to be a little bit more lashback towards that. Not to say it's okay, justify it, but like this place is real, and to have it stay real, you can't just always overmod and ban anybody the way that 24/7 got with just like everybody's banned. And so you've done a great job with not only I mean, your patience is both of you guys listening to this tonight. I mean, what's it, man? I don't know how you do it. Gio, I don't know how you do it. Your patience. And that's what it takes. That's the trade-off to have a real place, real people, real conversations where people are able to come in and say whatever the fuck they want. That's why you're not on YouTube anymore in the way you used to be, because you want people to be able to say whatever the fuck they want. And it's perfect. It's perfect, but perfect doesn't mean it's always going to be great for everybody all the time. You're gonna have the trolls, and that's part of the realness of it. And they do need to be moderated, but just blatantly banning people left and right was the reason that left 24/7, as well as a lot of other people. So it's tough, man, and you do a great job. And I think people realize that's why it's always kicking here. And I think that's why Witsit wants to be here. It's real, real, and that's the price you pay for real. Because with the AI and everything now, sooner or later, we're not going to know what's real unless we're just in a group conversation where there'd be no way to AI it or, script it or whatever. Like the planned shows where people have like things they're going to say or just a personality that they have to like always adhere to or whatever. That's not real already. And now we're getting like completely fake conversations with whoever it is we thought was talking wasn't even talking. And I don't think that could happen, back and forth conversation. So this might be the place that people appreciate in the long run because it stays real and there's a trade-off. Anyway, I just got wait, can you hear me? Did I cut out?
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
agree with you, man.
All right, cool.
All right, I love you guys, man. I will say
Love
real
you
fast,
too,
like,
bro. Yeah, come back
the
again tomorrow.
yeah, the thing you said about Antarctica, where most people just be like, "Wow, that's such a cool vacation, dude." I would love to go there, but it's so pretty. That's how my whole family was. Like a lot of my family didn't even really fully put it all together. They just know it's Antarctica, and I brought some shirts back. I
Oh my
mean,
God,
like the
they
immediate
only
people
knew.
knew, yeah. But
Dude, did you
all right,
check your
man.
DMs? I sent you a bunch of, E1 did a lot of work on figuring out the stars and how they might work, and a lot of links are in your DMs from me. So check it out.
All right, brother. I'll check it out.
All right, bro.
All right,
Have a good
later.
night. Later. Yeah, I think I have that clip of him and Krizzel talking. It's just I have no way of finding. I'm scrolling through all those videos to get it. Not that it matters now. It seems like they worked it out. Why belabor those old things? People are sensitive though, especially when it comes to their paradigm or something they personally did or didn't say, whatever the intention was behind it. So, but that's kind of like what's cool about this, listening to this channel too, is like hearing people work out stupid shit. Even if it's stupid, just the process is interesting, more interesting than something that's just scripted is all, no matter what. It's like gold these days. People just being real, even if they're being stupid or biased. Sometimes a real conversation comes out of this ridiculousness. And tonight was pretty fascinating every time Witsit gets it into it with like Zanuck or whoever. It's very interesting because, man, it's just over, guys. I mean, it's already the paradigm is already shifted for anyone that is paying attention. So this is the most interesting thing that could ever have happened, in my opinion. Because most people don't even know it's a thing yet, and it's already over. It's been over. That's what's fascinating about it. And there's no way to even explain it to anybody. Like if I try to explain that this has happened, they, everyone would just like look at me like, "What the hell are you talking about?" But I think if they went and listened to those conversations, that might be a way of getting it better than anything. because you have to hear people that are confused to clear up your own confusion sometimes. Anyway, I'm rambling. I was like, oh, I'm going to jump in. And then I started talking and didn't stop. And I was recording earlier. I'll probably go back and grab this. So now I'm self-conscious because I'm on my own channel, rambling. So I'll probably try to call someone out here to talk to me or continue. What's up, Dom? Dom's in here. What's up, Dom? Lush is in
Yeah,
here.
no.
Krizzel, Geo, Alan, or Cat. One of the two. You guys, the Cell Theo. What about that Cell Theo, people? What about Galley dunking on people? What's the phrase, Galley? Apply ball to net or something. That was funny. Some kind of technical term for dunking. Anyway, sorry, Gio. What were we gonna say?
No, you're good, man. No, I was listening to everything you said, and no, I hear you out on everything you said there, and appreciate the reflections and
Yeah. Your DM. I was just thinking about that because I was gonna reply to it. I kind of just did. Yeah, just grabbing these clips that
and
would
that
probably be
recording
gone.
you're
Most people would never grab it.
recording you're talking about, that piece that I'm talking is just cut off of it. You can barely hear it. So stop
Have you heard
clipping
it on my
it.
channel?
No, I tried to go back to get that recording, but it was so clipped up it was barely hearable.
Who clipped it?
It was clipped in the live stream itself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I mean, like we can let like old shit go by now, right? I know you have a beef with Witsit about other shit too. Like, I don't know if you think TFE was fake,
I
but I
don't
think
have
that's
a
where a
beef
lot of
with
people think
Witsit.
it's.
Stop mispresenting what I said. I never had a beef
Oh,
with
I
Witsit.
didn't.
I only
I
have
didn't.
a
Okay, wait.
problem
I'm
with
not gonna
him
get on your list,
lying.
Krizzel. Hey, Krizzel, you and I are cool. I was just trying to say, let's be cool. I wasn't trying to misrepresent anything. Don't put me on that list. I thought you had a beef with Witsit. Sounds like you were, going at him tonight. But maybe you're all cool, and I'm glad that's the
Yeah,
case.
because he still keeps misrepresenting what I said. So that I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with Witsit. I don't care what that guy does. I never even
Okay, good.
watched his channel.
Okay, good. Then you guys don't need to go be on bad terms or be bickering and making the conversation and the live stream all about meta shit.
He should just stop calling me a liar because he lied in that instant.
I didn't hear him call you a liar. I didn't hear that part. But it doesn't matter. I hate the whole lying thing because a lot of times people just don't know what they're saying. That's not really lying all the time. Like if they mistakenly say something or it's misinterpreted, it's not directly lying.
It's a misunderstanding from what people actually say. But
Yeah.
I can understand that. But to keep hanging on to that's I have a problem with.
Right. Well, I didn't know he was hanging on to it. It sounded like you were hanging on to it. It sounded like you were like, Witsit, you suck. You probably should be in jail. You're a government agent. All these other things that you're going after him about. And I can see why he's like, wait a minute. That's a little far.
Yeah, but
I,
everybody's talking about that shit in the background. Just let get in the open. It's clear for everybody, so everybody can shut the fuck up about it.
hopefully from here on out they will, and it won't be a thing that we have to keep rehashing. On top of what we just had right before that. I don't know if you heard Dan in here, but that was crazy. I
Yeah, but I'm
it's like if
standing in the
any.
middle of the hospital, so I can't really talk.
Oh, you are? Are you at work?
No, I'm delivering something at the hospital for my hobby, so I need to.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I
So
gotta go
later.
anyway. I was just gonna come in and say what's up. Cool. Talk to you later. I don't know if anyone else is here. I'm not gonna just leave the conversation dead.
Hey Dave, just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
it's awesome that you do the clips and then you also put the, in the title, like who was involved and what the topics. I'm just curious. I mean, you don't have to share if you don't want to, but like, how do you record it? Like, do you do it on your phone? Do you have it on a
Yeah.
computer with like OBS, or or do you just cut it off?
No. Just a screen record function on my my phone, my
Oh,
Galaxy S24. Ultra.
Oh, so you
And you can
just
you have it on yours. You have the Z Fold, right? It's
yeah.
something that a lot of Galaxy users don't even know they have. But because you have to like go like flip down and then hit the screen recorder thing.
No, I think
It's not like
I've seen. I know it has that. I just haven't used it.
yeah,
So you just open up the YouTube, you make it like full screen, and then you
yep,
click record, and then what do you have to? You have to leave your phone like on with the screen on, or do you have to? Can you close the
yep.
app and do other stuff?
No, no. It's not like downloading it. You actually have to watch it. That's why it's 1.25 sometimes if I don't want to listen to it in real time or whatever.
So
But
then, so you have it open on your phone while you're going about your
recording.
day.
Yeah, like I could be doing other stuff and leave it recording. I'm working on my computer and everything else, But yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes it cuts off when I don't want it to, or I hit the, if you hit the off button, the recording stops. Like that happened earlier tonight, and so I had to make part two, and just keep recording if I wanted to like actually have it on the channel. And people started kind of expecting it of me because I was just saving a few things, like some of the plain arguments or things I wanted to refer back to, and then I started posting some of the Flat Earth Friday stuff, and then it became kind of like a thing that people that were appreciating. So then I started doing it more and more, and now people kind of like it's like Flat Earth TV basically, because these conversations after the stream goes away, they don't get saved in a way that anyone would know what to look for if they wanted to go back and refer to something or listen to something that was fun or unique or interesting or important. I mean, this is a paradigm shift. It's kind of good to document it, I guess.
No, yeah, it's awesome that you do that. I mean, technically, if I wanted to, I guess I could try to cut it up and do that myself as well. I mean, that could be like ideal. I guess just with everything I have going on, it is a whole extra thing. It's awesome that you're doing that though. Yeah, because I mean, the 12-hour videos is hard to go back and really find
You
stuff,
can't download it. Yeah, you can't just download it and then post it. Or you could probably, but I mean, I couldn't download a 12-hour. I'm maxing out my room on my phone almost every day trying to get these things. I have to post it so I can clear a room for the next recording. I don't know how long I can do it or how long I would want to do it, but it's become a thing that is kind of like giving back. There used to be back in the day. Remember, they used to have a lot of people posting like what happened between whoever was talking that day. Other people would do kind of a similar thing, and I appreciated that. So kind of paying it back a little bit, but thinking somebody should be doing that. And so since I've learned how to do that, and I'm listening to it anyway, I like keep track of everything. I might as well just hit record, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I just wondered because it seems like you post them pretty quick, so I figured you were not like waiting till I posted to Rumble and then downloading off Rumble and then cutting it.
No,
It seemed like it's quicker because like it'll be hours later sometimes.
instantaneous.
So makes sense. Yeah, you just record it, title it, click it, and boom, it's
Yep,
uploaded. That's awesome.
yep. That's other people should do it because I don't know how long I'll be able to or how much I can actually grab. That's good. I missed a lot of stuff. I'm sure. I have so much stuff to post uh, that I haven't, been able to even have time to do since I'm recording or doing other stuff. But I've got so many things that I plan to repost. So there'll be a bunch of conversations coming up here that people will be like, wasn't that like a month ago? But it was something that I thought was interesting. So it's still on there. And I just have to upload it.
Yeah, I mean, someday, like if somebody went back through all the recordings and cut out all the best stuff, because there's got to be just thousands of hours of really good stuff. So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I think there's like, I don't know, isn't like 40 or 50,000 hours total? Like if you add up like basically, every day for all these years.
Oh, yeah.
But another option, maybe if there was an AI that could go through it all and try to like figure out when like a convo started, when it ended, like similar topics, who was involved. That would be another thing, be interesting. If an AI could go back and it probably wouldn't have like the human touch though, to be able to really.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. There's nothing like somebody that actually is aware of who people are and what the conversation might entail. Or, like I try to put, that's what Shane says. He likes my videos because you know exactly what you're going to get from the title. Like there's no surprises usually. Try to put it all in there so that if you're not only because it's fun to like actually, you know, tell people what it's about or whatever, but it's good if you wanted to refer back to something, And the like, oh, remember when you said that thing about the thing? That was great. That sealed the deal or whatever. Remember that time that Dave made everyone aware that there's no way a plane could land on the surface with a tangential gradient? It's just, it debunks the ball emphatically right there. Why talk about curvature after that? That was great. Planes can't land. It's over already. It's been over since 2015 when Brian Mullins brought that up. I don't know why the conversation needs to go on.
Did you get like 1 5-hour cut of just all the times that you've debated that?
5 hours? Oh man, there's got to be 20 or 30 or 40 at least on my channel.
Yeah, no, I know there's a lot more than 5. I was just saying
just
if there's
the best of the best.
Yeah, just
like the highlights. Yeah, I repeat myself a lot because they repeat themselves a lot. But yeah, the conversation, actually, I used to argue about the planes in a totally different context. I didn't even realize that there's no way they'd be in sync with the ground when they got to the, area that they didn't match the conserved momentum. Not that the conserved momentum would help anyway, but it's just all about that eastward vector. Like that eastward vector has nothing to do with their forward motion. And if it did, then that means the plane would be going 1,000 miles an hour with the vector addition of the forward motion and the eastward motion. And that's not happening. So you just have to pretend that somehow it stays in sync with that eastward vector without any part of the pilot doing anything at all. But somehow the plane is going sideways or backwards or whatever angle it needs to be at 1,000 miles an hour, so much in perfect sync with that rotation that he never has to worry about it. He can always just treat the Earth like it's stationary. Now that's ridiculous. That shouldn't, the conversation about are we on a spinning ball shouldn't go any further than that because that's impossible. And I'm not trying to get into that argument with anyone right now because that's all I really have to say. And that's all it really needs to be said.
Yet those forces are strong enough to make your toilet bowl water spin in a certain direction. Isn't that comical?
Yeah, they don't even try to claim that anymore, but yeah. That's like most people realize that's ridiculous. But there is a difference in the way the weather patterns are in the south and in the north. And that does have something to do with the way the sun moves and the temperature and all that. So that is a real effect that they use as a way of claiming rotation, which is the fallacious part.
Yeah, ironically, if you have the 2 star rotations, the 2 sun, and then the Foucault's pendulum, is claimed to go clockwise and counterclockwise. You have the preferred direction of light, interferometry, all those factors. Ironically, and then the Coriolis, what they call that with the weather pattern, with the storms in the north and south. But ironically, if you had does water actually swirl in the direction of the stars and the 2 rotations? If you had a way to test that, because I know toilet bowl, you've got the angle of the water and how the water enters and all those factors.
Right.
So it's kind of not just like a walk.
Like a gyro. Like a gyro, there could be something sensitive with water or something that you might be able to see effect of. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, okay, we know that if it's not as easy as just living in Australia, go flush your toilet and it spins one way, live in New York City and flush your toilet. It's not that simple because you have the flow of the water and all that stuff. But what I'm saying is that if it were tested where you have some kind of perfectly calm water or something, you pull a drain and does it actually in the same way that you got the Foucault's pendulum, but it's a very gentle effect. I mean, the Foucault's pendulum is so gentle. Now, I know some people think it doesn't precess the way it's claimed to be, but if it does precess in relation to the sidereal motion, Sagnac effect, etc., that it does actually precess clockwise and counterclockwise based on the ether, the ether drift or ether wind, Sagnac effect, the sidereal motion, etc. If the pendulums do that, if interferometers do that, if there's a preferred direction of light related to that, if the wind patterns like hurricanes do that, also the way not only the spin of the hurricanes, but the way that they come up off the equator and they either veer up north or they veer down south, like that dual pole kind of magnetic field.
Yeah, it's a residual electromagnetic field. It's the resonance of the electromagnetic field that those sensitive instruments are picking up. That's why we have the counter rotations. Wait, does the globe claim that there would be a counter rotation or an opposite precession for the Foucault's pendulum in the south?
Yeah.
Is that in line with the globe? How do they explain that? Because it's supposed to be the same. It's still rotating the same way. Oh, do they do like, oh, we're upside down, so it would seem different or something? Same kind of argument.
Um.
Because they don't claim the globe is spinning the opposite way, is what I'm saying.
Well, it's that being north or south of the equator, that it would spin like clockwise or counterclockwise. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I thought that the globe, if it's just eastward rotation that it's picking up, why would the precession be the opposite in the south if it's the same direction of rotation? But it's probably just like they do with everything. If you're upside down, so the stars seem like, they're going the opposite direction, but they're actually all just one field of stars going the same direction, which is impossible as well. You can't have converging and diverging star trails in the north and the south if it's a globe. And that's what they do, apparently. Just like an
Well, I hear you that
electromagnetic
it's
field.
the Earth is rotating the same way, but the are you saying that if the Foucault's pendulum was caused by Earth rotation, if we were on a sphere, are you saying that it shouldn't rotate the other way in the south, or that it should?
I'm not sure. I just wondered. I didn't even thought about it as much as like, wait a minute, does that fit with the globe? Because like the claim about stars is that it's one field of stars going, and they're not moving, we're moving, and just eastward. We're rotating eastward, even though we see an opposite rotation of the southern stars, counterclockwise as opposed to clockwise, which doesn't fit with like they're not claiming the bottom half of the globe is spinning the opposite direction. They have to say that it's because you're upside down and that's the way it looks. Right? They're saying it's perspective based, even though they often don't want to use perspective for stars for anything else. I don't know. Did I cut out?
Well, no, you're good. You know how, but it is kind of rotating in the opposite direction though on a ball. Like the whole thing is still actually rotating, but like compared to the vertical at each pole, it is opposite. Like if you were to look at the globe from above, like a ball Earth thing, and it was going clockwise, and then if you took your head and, like you said, perspective wise, you look at it from the other way, it's going counterclockwise. But I think the deflection, if you're in the north or south, like in their theory of it, would cause it to rotate the other way.
Yeah, I just haven't looked into it. I wonder.
Right.
I thought you might have known.
When you
Or if
if you look at the lifting power of a gyro, and if you look at how it wings, the rotor at the top is horizontal, and that back fin is vertical. And with that torque in that system, which creates that lift of that helicopter. But you see the same in the sun and the lemma in our world. You see that there is a slight torque in the system. So it's kind of a balance thing from something that is moving up and down, I believe, because that is what the world is showing us. It's like a helicopter. It's two forces working together as one.
Yeah, like the two halves of the electromagnetic field, right? But it's one thing, right? Like there's two halves of it, but there's one direction to the magnetism, and it's one electromagnetic field that manifests as a
Yeah,
double toroid.
but an electromagnetic field has a horizontal part and a vertical part, and one part of it is non-polar.
Okay. What are you trying to get at? You have to
When
like
you have
walk me through
the
it.
cross beam of those two fields, when you have a sun moving in an arc over you during the time of the year from horizon to the top of your head, that is just the crossroad of those two fields that is moving through your sky.
Yep, that's right. Well, that's the way E1 explains his dual pole idea is that it's like it's looping between the two toroidal fields, and that's what creates the analemma pattern. Or at least if you took a picture every day, you would have the H-shaped analemma. There's a short video I can post right now that says what I think you're talking about. Similarly, well, at least I'm not sure if it's the same. Is that what you're saying? the crossing over in for the year, because it crosses over twice. That's why we get the Analema.
No, I mean that horizontal of that and that vertical field of the magnetic field that is shifting to the to time of the year, which gives you that rise of that sun in the sky from lower to higher.
Right. Do you ever make any content, Krizzel? Like any? Do you have a YouTube
No,
channel?
I'm
Or earlier
graphic. I'm
channel?
really terrible at graphics. I need somebody to put it on paper for me.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, that takes a lot of
But
work.
I need to
Actually, you can do
go.
that with the AI pretty easy. You can do the AI stuff now. Have AI do it for you.
Yeah, but that AI is just 3D, and I need more than 3D.
I gotcha. That's tough.
Hey, but I gotta go. Talk to you guys later.
All right. Yep. Take care.
Dave, I just posted 2 things in the chat. Have you seen this double torus? It looks like it didn't post. I'll post it again. This double torus.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty cool. A double toroid. I mean, that it's not like that's the most detailed image, but it's cool how it has like the two loops, the 2 rotations, and that's would be above a plane, you know, like a double torus. It seems like that's what the sky is. Like we have a double toroid sky.
It's kind of hard to say that's not what it looks like. You know, I mean, that's what it looks like. I mean, you know, if okay, just say it's flat, because I mean, you and I know that, but for anybody that doesn't, it needs to have like a hypothetical. You know, if it's flat, they didn't start with a spherical graticule. They started with continents that are you know the ones we know of, and then they're going to put GPs for the stars over those continents over a flat Earth somehow, right? Now, if they're going to try to trick us into thinking it's a sphere, that would be a lot more difficult to do if it's like a Gleason style, you know, layout where everything gets wider in the south. You know, like if that was the reality, you know, not to say it's not just another transform of the graticule, but that only goes so far. I mean, what if we're just talking like objective reality? What do the continents look like relative to each other? If we could actually get a bird's eye view, what do you think it most likely would be if they created the spherical graticule for the ball illusion, right? And if it was starting out with something very dissimilar, that wouldn't be a very good idea on their part to try to trick us into it being a ball. But with this dual pole, it looks like a ball. You know, I mean, I could just see them being like, oh, we could do this to make them think they're on a ball because it looks like a flat ball already. So that's what I think they started with. They saw the electromagnetic field manifesting in the way it does, which is very similar to a sphere with, you know, all the tricks right there for it to use, you know. But there are people that look into this deep enough where they're saying there's no way that it couldn't be a sphere of stars, you know. But that's where like some of the falsification can go on with these areas of the circumpolar navigation with, you know, going straight up the back of the ball with the international dateline. Like Geo, don't you think that it's safe to say, or it's fair to say, that if they could go from pole to pole all the way up that international dateline, up the backside of the blue side of the ball, they would have done it already, right? They should have done it. It should be, you know, shouldn't be hard to do. People would do it all the time. Maybe they claim they have or that they can, but that would be something that is the true south to north and north to south circumpolar navigation that hasn't been done, that should be done, and would prove the ball to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if we if we really lived on a globe in 2026, like we would have flown all over.
Yeah.
You know, every direction, and you'd think there'd be plenty of documentation. I mean, there already is documentation of most routes, but yeah, that north to south circumnavigation is like very elusive.
Yep. It's like too late now if they try to say they're doing it, or if they do something like, oh, look, this plane went straight there and he claims he did it. You know, if the dual pole ever became like a little bit more or a little bit threatening in any way, they might be like, oh, no, that's right there. We see ships going back and forth, like percentage things, or, you know, some of these people that are ready to claim wraparound illusion of disappearing and reappearing, because that has to be the case. But that's where the trick is. If that international date line doesn't actually go all the way through, it just goes north of north or out from north upwards and down from south southward. That's where the real trick was. It's brilliant, because who's going to be in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of the blue side of the ball, proving anything to anybody? It's no man's land.
Yeah, you need an investigation on the north to south circumpolar
Circumpolar
navigation, bro.
navigation. Nice, bro. I like that line. You know, I know the lyric. Investigation.
Well, that's
That's a
how it
great
goes.
one. Yeah.
Good to
I
hear
think of your song actually when I say that. I always do think of that song. It's so funny. It's like, when you know how you have certain things you say, you don't tell anybody, but that's the thought, it kind of reference in your head. That's a great one,
That's
man. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. A lot of your songs are like that for me in this context.
Thanks, bro.
For sure, man. You brought the nostalgia, or you created the nostalgia in real time.
Hey, that's so funny. Need an investigation in the north, because that goes back to what's his name?
And you would draw it out. You would be like circumpolar. And you do like a live version of it. You'd be like navigation.
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
so funny.
sorry. What were you gonna say?
Investigation
What?
on the north to south solar. I forget.
I gotta post it now. I gotta go find it on your channel and post it for people that don't know that.
That's funny.
Yeah, people don't know your music, man. They should, because if they're a flat earther, they probably do already. But there's flat earthers out there, don't have any idea who you are or anybody. They're just like, because how do you get to where all the cool people are unless you're like in it for a while? You'd have to like know somebody who knows somebody, and if you're a new flat earther, you don't even know that that part of it exists, right?
Yeah.
That's part of what my channel is for too. Like posting all the lives, people, could find that somehow and be like, oh my god, all these people are flat earthers too, and they've been a flat earther for years and didn't even know, right?
Yeah, I think it's a trip. Like, I think what's wild is like, because I was talking with, I've been hanging out with the Globers, and like I was trying to tell them, I was like, they don't understand, like, the new wave of flat Earth, like, doesn't want to debate them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was trying to explain, like, there's like a whole ignorant group of flat Earth now that exists that like doesn't give a shit about your argument. Like,
Yeah,
it's
dude.
just.
'Cause I know, like a lot of people just they're just hungry for more information, just questions, wanting to explore and think about it more than. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think I
Well,
can
like, I
like
feel like
sympathize.
there was like, well, like, I think of it like, in the early, like, in any of this, like, we're still going through it. I mean, I still hear people ask all of the same questions that were asked, and it's like, but it's like this idea of like, uh, the early on, people wanted to debate the nuance of it and like kind of pick at Globers and see if they missed something. You know what I mean, kind of a thing. But like now, it's just like, yo, Earth's flat. Fuck you, dog. Like, they don't want to debate about Haversine formulas, learn about Sagittarius. They're just like, nah, dude, fuck you, never went to the moon. Like, they don't care to some
Yeah, and
extent.
I think there's an effort that we kind of all, you and I have talked about since 2017. It seems like they rolled out flat Earth, even though it's based on the truth. Otherwise, it would never work, right? So why did they roll it out? Why do they have people like representing? Um, but they're not representing like poorly on purpose as much as they're just like kind of like just being there, like 1 foot on the pedal, 1 foot on the brake. Like Mark Sargent is not like representing in the way that like Shane or Allen is, but he's not like trying to kill it either. So like he's just the guy, if he is, somebody that's helping, whatever. Actually, there's 2 clips on my channel. I don't know if you saw or heard me talk about it or seen them, but it's like Mark Sargent saying, I'm the guy that gets to tell people the Earth is flat, even though I know they're not going to do. But eventually, we're going to tell you the Earth is flat. Like the government is going to tell you the Earth is flat. Or the way he said it, he goes, in 1960, we figured it out, right? And they wanted to keep it on the back burner until they found a way for it to be, a palatable way to bring it to the people. And that's what this is all about
Well,
right here. And he was just talking about outer bounders right before that.
my problem though is the idea that, like, or not my problem. It's like any topic, but like the anything that can be used to divide the people will be used to divide the people, no
Yep.
matter how right you are. So, like, flat Earth is just another wrinkle in the game of divide and conquer. That's why,
Absolutely.
I've always been about it, man. It's like, like if our enemy wants to divide and rule over us, then our only logical response to that, to combat that, has to be to open the bridge of communication with the other party. Do you know what I mean? Because
Yep. Yep.
their goal is to shut down the communication. Like, and basically their goal is to have ignorant flat earthers fighting ignorant globers.
Yep. They give a
And
false dichotomy for
yeah, and
the
that's
globe
my
versus
beef.
geocentrism and all that.
I mean, it
From
doesn't
the
mean that we're
beginning.
not like capable of having a conversation and capable of whatever, but you see how people get about any issue, they automatically go to each other's throats. You know what I mean? And we'll lose intellectual honesty for the sake of team spirit. You know what I mean?
I like your prospiracy angle you take sometimes too, with like they're giving us the wink and the nod. I mean, who believes they went and played golf on the moon anyway? I mean, if you believe that, that's fine. But they're not going to respect you for believing that. They're telling you right there it's fake by giving you a little wink and the nod with how fake it is, right? But they're giving the thinking man an out, which makes them seem like they're cooler, like they respect people that are thinking into it further than just what they give them to think, right? And I kind of like to think of them that way, like they're the best, movie director, script writer guy that's, gonna give like a little bit of respect to the people that are intelligently, respectively being, a participant in this party. But if you want to just be a dumbass and believe that they're, gonna have no toilet seat on the ISS bathroom and have like a little bit of anti gravity going on with poop flying all over the place, then you could believe that because that's what they're showing you. It's just ridiculous on purpose. But then the people that, and it's almost like they're gaslighting the people that believe it as well as the people that don't believe it at the
Well,
same
also too,
time.
like people take for granted like you live in a sane society. You know what I mean? Like people take for
Sophisticated. I don't know about sane,
like,
but
well, no,
sophisticated.
but what I mean, what I mean is that like you're surrounded by retards, dude. So like
Yeah.
you can't like it's like if you're surrounded by psychopaths, and like you've got to have like decorum to survive the psychopia, of whatever. You know what I mean? It's like you can't fucking
Mhm.
you can't tell these people the truth to some extent because they want to kill you when you do. So like
Right,
when
and it's
the
not going
only
to
way
help
to
them.
disseminate something, like let's say flat Earth be true and whatever, it's like the only way to disseminate that would be through like a lens of a wink and a nod, like a veil. You know what I mean? In order to be able to see through it, because people can't read between the lines. Therefore, like they're just going to go at each other's throats. That's why, like flat Earth is like
Yep.
a fine wine. It's not like a public service announcement to tell everybody. That's what
Right.
I think.
And why should it be, right? I mean, in a way, like they inherited the paradigm, whether they, continue it or not, is like the way that they do it, the nuanced way of doing it. Sometimes I think it's perfect, like they're not trying to do such an unbelievably believable moon landing or whatever they could do with the CGI or the AI now. They're just teasing, like and they're giving one foot on the pedal, showing you stuff that you shouldn't believe. But then if you believe it, that's fine because you just want the fantasy. And who knows? Like you said before, I've said, if the truth is that we're inside this little bubble, there's nowhere else to go, and we feel like a rat in a cage, they're gonna have all kinds of justifications for giving you the space fantasy instead. But if they used to have people like, making up whatever God said and, controlling you in that way. And I'd rather have, their space religion that makes everything non secular for the society rather than having it just be, this is the way. Everybody's got to like bow down to whatever we say and the way it used to be in a lot of areas. So yeah, there's benefits to it, and they're telling us the truth by faking it so poorly on purpose. So it's kind of like the way it should be. And who says when you're born on this earth that you're automatically owed the truth about everything? And like you always say, what would you have to wake up from if they never lied to you? And that's part of the beauty of this coming of age, realization that we're all going through. And it is a beautiful thing. And you would never have that if you were just told the absolute facts from the day you were born. There'd be no mystery. There'd be nothing to seek. And there'd be no value to it.
Well,
Because
I
if
mean, think of it
knowledge
like
is power, there'd be no value if it was just free.
what's so cool too is, or I think of it like it's like we do it with Christmas, we do it with children. Like the idea that uh, it's like the idea that we've got Santa Claus figured out, dog. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like we've got Santa. We know what Santa Claus is doing here. This is an operation to get children gifts. You know what I mean? Like this is like project make a kid
And
happy.
it's fun.
You know what I
And
mean?
it's
Like,
fun.
but like, yeah, and everything's explained and everything makes sense, but the real world is a lot scarier. And some people go without during Christmas, and, kids don't need to know that. But like when they
Right.
get older, you know what I mean? Like, it's funny, I was busting somebody's chops recently around Christmas, and I was just saying how, like, I was like, you need Santa Claus in your life. And they're like, Santa Claus isn't real. And it's a pagan religion. I was like, you definitely need Santa Claus in your life. like, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was
That's
like,
funny, right?
cause like the whole fucking thing, I think like the goal of Christmas, right? As like a parent or something is so like, that you teach your child that like you can get gifts for somebody and you don't need to say that you got the gift for them. Like it's an anonymous gift, right? That's what Santa Claus
Right,
is.
right.
It's a vehicle for doing anonymous good deeds. So like, this person happened to be talking about, oh, Santa Claus is just to make your kids think that lying is okay, that kind of fucking bullshit. And
Yeah.
and I was just like, no, dude. I was like, the goal of like Christmas, right, is to get it so that one day your kid turns around and gives you a gift, and you ask them, well, where did I get it, or where did you get this? And they say, I don't know. I think Santa dropped it off. You know what I mean? Like that's what
Right.
the epitome of success in regards to Christmas is that your kid gets you a gift and says it's from Santa Claus, right?
Yeah, the only
It's
people that are mad about Santa Claus not being real are flat earthers.
well,
Because
that too.
otherwise, it's just like, it's not, it's like, okay, yeah, so it's not a made up lie to manipulate you. It was, and in that way, it's all about how you interpret it. But,
Well, it's
yeah,
also like the same thing with with as a kid growing up, you realize eventually that, you know what I mean, like the Santa Claus isn't real and your parents are putting the gifts under the tree. And like,
yeah,
it's that might be heartbreaking, but it's also like revelation to like the fact that your parents bought you a bunch of gifts. You know what I mean? And like you can be
yeah,
grateful for
wasn't
that.
malicious.
Right.
Definitely
It
not a
wasn't
malicious
malicious.
lie.
It wasn't right. And you were, perfectly at the stage where that made sense for you. But like
But yeah,
when you
you
come
make
of
up shit
age,
for kids all the time on a daily to get them to like have something to do and have fun or whatever, monsters in the room,
right?
like
Well, it's also
whatever you have to make up.
and that's where it's like it's more, what a beautiful thing to give children, Christmas, right? And also, like if you look at it correctly, what a beautiful thing to have the globe, because it's like everything's explained, everything's da 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 da. But like the truth of the matter is that you know that life's crazy and we might not know everything, and like you can't just hand that off to somebody. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
think it's like there's a
People don't
slow
like to feel like
awakening.
a rat in a cage. Is it better to say, okay, here's the border, you can't go past that. We got a treaty with the outer pounders, or you're just not allowed to, or whatever. Is that better than saying, oh, there's nowhere else to go? I don't know. I mean, honestly, they might have to make up a lie anyway because they would have a treaty, and if somebody went over there, they could get in trouble. I mean, back in the day when it was hard, when they didn't have it surrounded, whatever the reasons are for it. I don't think the globe's as malicious a lie um, as sometimes we make it out to be. And I don't know that everybody could handle it or should know it at this point. Because I mean, it does fuck with your whole like origin story and everything else, but I don't know if like going and telling everybody all at once would be the best thing for our society. The truth about that, because it is a beautiful thing to find out that the lie can be that big and so sophisticated and organized, and so stupid at the same time. So obviously not true,
Well,
and
hold on
it
now,
really does allow you to. It's not even possible. You said there's
because I
nothing about
think,
the globe that works. It
see,
wouldn't
I've
work.
become more kind of interested in the idea that it's not so much the shape of the earth that we're going to figure out. It's the idea that like it's becoming, and I think this is the psychological nightmare that happens for people. It's this idea and the dilemma of the paradox. The paradox being that you have the celestial sphere, which comports with so much of what we use, let's say, on a grand scale, right? And you have to contradict that to your actual perceived, like, existence. And they completely, like, to some extent, they contradict one another. And like, I think that like the real problem, the real nightmare is that you want to pick a side of globe or flat just for certainty's sake. You know what I mean? For like psychological developmental sake. Like that makes sense to have a firm understanding of that. But when you come to realize that maybe we don't, that's the terrifying nightmare problem. And it's a terrifying nightmare problem for the globers and the flat earthers because neither one of them has the complete, story. And like,
They might
everyone
not either. They might not know what's up. They may
well,
not
that's what I
know
mean. No,
past a
that's the
certain point
reveal.
what it is, right?
That's the reveal is that they don't know. That the reveal is that they're like, hey, look at this paradox that no one can quite figure out. And like they can't tell you that as a young kid. You know what I mean? Like Santa Claus kind of a thing. Like they're not going to tell you like, no, we need to go and get all the gifts at the store and actually wrap them and do the fucking thing and make it. You know what I mean? It's a production. Like they're not
Yep.
going to. They can't handle the real nightmare being the paradox.
Well, for a working society, you don't want people sitting around pondering the origins of possibilities of where we came from and why we're here. It's just easier to tell them that it's already known. Here it is. It's
Well,
just a
that's what
random
gets me is
thing.
that, dude. I
Yeah.
think if you look at it, mankind's biggest advancements happened, or you know what I mean, like before the moon landing, let's say. And like, it's like or not biggest advancements, I'm not going to get into that, but like the idea that like we were a society that didn't know for certain. And that made us more inquisitive. It made us like
Uh-huh.
everyone was an inventor. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like electromagnetism was crazy. You know what I mean? Like granted people were getting woo woo with it. And but at the same time, like, all of it was, it wasn't until the moon landing that we knew for, or quote unquote knew for certain the shape of the earth, right? It was all debatable. So we lived in a society that was debating this for millennia up until the 1960s. It's like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if that's the case. And then everyone's like, no, 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 the Earth's a sphere, and we know why. We proved Galileo and Copernicus correct. Like, that was the first evidence, tangible evidence about that. And like,
Yeah, there's
what
a
a fucking
psychological
joke.
thing. If you live your whole life thinking that especially something basic like where you're from and what you're told with the globe, it is like almost a form of abuse to force somebody to realize that wasn't true, and it might not help them very much if they're not going to realize you're right
Well,
or
just,
whatever.
well, I say this just like, think of the mind of man before the moon landing. Like, I've been kind of harping on this. Like there was only until the moon landing came could or forgive me, for millennia this conversation happened, but neither side could condemn the other side as completely crazy because nobody had any proof. So like we had a healthy relationship between the two cosmologies, because neither side had any physical, tangible 100, what they call proof. So you had like an intellectual honesty and like sincerity between the parties. But then when you went after the moon landing, all of a sudden it was like you had a bunch of tyrants that could like stand on the shoulders of the moon landing and like condemn the other side. Do you know what I mean? Like that never existed almost previously.
Yeah, well, I think that it was I think maybe the idea that the globe is really something people believed in um, wholeheartedly before the moon landing is debatable. To be honest, it hasn't been around for that long. Like they claim, in my opinion, that there's that many people that full-hearted. They didn't even have the theory of gravity worked out, and that still doesn't even work. But they didn't even have that idea worked out before they were supposedly believing that they're hanging upside down relative to each other. So that wouldn't make any sense. I think the people that put this together do not believe they're on a ball because they had to be reverse engineered. And real intellectual people that have common sense, it doesn't take long to realize that the ball really wouldn't work. And that's what the whole game of it is, I think, that's been going on because they had to make a faith out of it. They had to make it impossible so that they know that you have faith in it. Not that you could just come to that same conclusion on your own with common sense, because then they don't know you, they control your mind. If you believe something stupid is true, then they know they gave you that idea. But if it's something that anybody would just come to on their own without their influence, then you would never know if they're under your control. That's why
Well,
they
I
had to
mean,
make it ridiculous on
well,
purpose.
well, like I said, like I'm just, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. I agree with you. I just think also there's like, or what I'm fascinated with is this idea of like the stage of mankind at the point before the moon landing. Like, the ability, like the intellectual ability, I think to like uh comprehend a paradox was much more like, or maybe was more prevalent back then because it was like there was no confirmation. And so like with that you had like this like mysterious element to life that people had, that people out in order to explain things. But I think like it's like sand, right? The more you clutch on it, the more it leaves. And I just think that same way cosmologically, like, but I do have to big up the celestial sphere and like the attempt of mankind to explain all this shit. Like the celestial sphere is a marvel of mankind. It's just that it contradicts some of and a lot of what what we directly experience. That's the paradox. That's the mind fuck. And then people, in some weird way, just pick a side because they have to identify the boogeyman. And like, I think the real
Yeah.
nightmare of it all is not knowing. And like, but then it's not a
Really? But
nightmare.
that's where the mystery
It's,
comes in. That's where the invention comes in, like you were saying, though, right? That's where people are more creative because they don't. It's not like it's all figured out. But I hear what you're saying as far as like the way we're conditioned now. It's frightening to feel like you don't know. Like there's, like,
dude, think of
especially
it. They,
like
they want to kill
with the
people for
government.
different political opinions, just opinions.
Right.
Like we've gone so far, like they can't even like they're so wrapped up in whatever paradigm they've created that they're ready. Like, it's just like, that's why it's like the masses are so crazy, dude. They don't deserve flat Earth, man. Nor will they appreciate it. Don't give your pearls to swine. That kind of shit.
Right. Yep.
Like,
And it sucks
I don't.
because they're kind of bred to be that way. The school systems aren't really giving them a fair shake with, the system, you know, making them dumb down on purpose. But at the same time, I think intelligence is inherent in people that,
Yeah, but
can
you're
have the
trying to have.
opportunity to get that. That's why we
I
do what
just
we do. We're giving the people that want to know the chance to find out, but we're not pushing it or trying to make everybody think it or believe it or find out all at once because we know that that's not the best case scenario. But the
well,
people that
yo,
are inquisitive enough and ready for it, that's why I'm giving back because that's what I got from you when I back in the day, just listening to you guys.
well, what gets me is like the idea. This is I think the issue though, man. It's like, have you ever sat there? Like I've sat with somebody at work and like you crack open conspiracy shit. You start talking about like I don't know the Middle East or whatever topic it is. And then like, it's about a minute of trying to explain this shit. Like you're like, yeah, and have you ever heard of remember when like, Margaret Thatcher did this and they're like, who's Margaret Thatcher? You know? They don't know anything, dude. So there's no context. You just wasted your breath like explaining history to someone who doesn't even know like who Christopher Columbus is. Like they have no
Right.
context to put it in. Like there's no, you can't get into Operation Northwoods and McNamara when they're like, who's JFK? Who's that?
Right. And then there's the
Like,
other side of it now for you when you go to the point where I'm at or some other people get to be where it's like, well, most of what we're told, even if it's like what's in the history books, probably not quite the narrative. You were saying this yourself, like basically, you know, could be Mossad created Iran and it's kind of like just a kabuki theater, all of it, the whole thing going on. And if there's outer pounders that are really controlling everything anyways, it's kind of like, you know, what really is past. Oh, did you see the movie, by the way, the Say Orsa that talks about the mini ice age? I think you might find that fascinating. There's supposedly a mini ice age that didn't happen not too long ago. And that's where the Ming dynasty and like 90% of the world's population basically, froze to death or ate their children.
oh
And
no
that's like
shit.
a reset that's been like kind of, you know, covered up. And the guy says you can trick the AI into telling you the truth. You can find out. Yeah, there was a mini ice age where the population went way down. And California was an actual country that was on the that's where California is now, but it was like this huge landmass that was an actual country called California, and it did drop off into the ocean, which is where the idea of like the California dropping into the ocean now is. And he was looking at their Urbanto Monte map and talking about all the accuracies of it because he's a sailor. I don't know. It'd be interesting to get your take on that because he's actually asking for crew members to go to these lands that we're not supposed to go to, but it's like a public announcement to go, commit a crime basically. So it's a little bit questionable, but the guy sounds pretty genuine at the same time. Anyway,
Yeah, we
I'll
need like a
post it.
thing. Yeah, if we should do like a flat Earth foreign legionnaires. Just people that want to leave the world behind. The French
Right,
Legionnaire. You could just like get rid of your fucking old identification and join the fucking flat Earth
right,
French Legionnaire.
right.
Go on a boat and shit.
Sovereign outer ponders.
Dude. Yeah.
There's
Well, that was always
a
my thing.
bunch
I
of
was like,
land though. There's definitely a bunch of land that we're finding out about, even with the Epstein stuff, right? Like little islands and stuff
well, I
that
was always saying
didn't
like if
There's
you
exist.
no
wanted
more
to,
land, dude. If there's just no more land. If there is, there's no celestials for the land, right? Because every star we have has a GP for it. There's no new stars out there. There's no new land. Sorry.
There's no GP. It's not like every star has a GP for the land that we know of because the stars go as far as the eye can see. We don't know what every star in the sky is over as far as a piece of land that we're aware of goes. We
yeah,
have
you'd like
certain
this.
navigational
Yeah,
stuff.
perspective. You'd like this one. I was talking about how like the southern pole, like in the south when people are looking, because I was proposing that like imagine if like there's three different suns. Right. So like that's why when you're in the south at the South Pole, everybody sees the sun during the winter, the solstice. And that like imagine if because of perspective, you just think you're seeing the same sun. So it's actually
Right.
three suns. I was just getting retarded with it. But anyway, like imagine like through like, how like in like the polarity lenses, like if you put one polar lens you can
Sure.
see the
Yep.
object,
It
two polar
disappears, but
lenses you
yeah,
can't see the object, and then put one third solar
you can
lens
see
and
it again.
you see it again. So I was wondering
Yeah.
like it almost like it's like imagine
Rectilinear
if,
lenses.
well imagine if you had
Rectilinear.
like three
You really
different,
got to learn to let him finish.
what's that?
I was trying to add into it. Rectilinear lenses, right? Is that what they're called?
Oh
Go
yeah,
ahead.
well yeah, I'm not trying to go there with it, but yeah. Like they're just I don't think that's the rectilinear lens. Is that? I think that's something different for
That's
some
why I
reason.
was asking. But go ahead. Your
Yeah, I think
point
that's
was
a,
not that.
yeah, just
Sorry.
the idea that like, if there were outer ponders and different star systems, let's say, around those outer ponds, like I just find that a fascinating idea,
Yeah.
just in general. I don't know. It's just interesting. But who knows? But I was also gonna say this, it's like if anyone's interested in navigation and gonna do all this flat earth shit, it's like go enroll at your local college and do a navigation course first. You know what I mean? Like go learn. Like I always felt like for all the people that were like, we're gonna go down, we're gonna go south. I was like, all right, so when are we all enrolling into a college class to learn how to fucking navigate? You know, because that would be the practical fucking steps to take. Is learn how to navigate,
Dude,
and then
have you
fucking.
watched any? You
What's up?
watched any of the E1 videos? E1's talking all about the navigation and the outer bounds, and he's got a
Oh,
real theory about that. There has to be outer bounds because of the way that the sacred geometry works in electromagnetic. It's like a flux capacitor basically, and we have a north and a south, but our south has to connect to another north for the whole thing to work like the way it would with the array. So it's like there's a positive, negative, and there would be one central area that all of the power comes from. Interesting, huh?
sorry.
Electromagnetism, bro. Oops.
Yeah, that's interesting stuff. Who knows? I mean,
You
you know,
didn't
like
watch you didn't watch any of them yet, huh?
I haven't. What you want?
I
Send
think
me
you
something,
find them.
brother.
Yeah, dude. I'll send you all the unlisted links again. You should check it out just for the ideas at least. But I think he's right. I think he's onto it, man. It's an electromagnetic field. That's what the stars manifest as. It's a double toroid. That's why they got the celestial sphere idea. In my opinion, that is what you see. You see two circling toroids, and they're like, oh, it looks like a ball when you're looking at it from top down. And they just like pinned the top to the bottom and the sides to the back and made the blue side of the globe the illusion that you're on a globe, but it's just two toroids. That's why it looks like a ball. It's a flat ball, dude. It's a flat globe. So we all win. You know, it's a perfect marrying of the two when you really look
Maybe
at it.
if they hadn't have gone to a certain altitude and shown, like they kind of sealed their fate on that. They went so far and said, look, it's for sure a ball. Like, yeah, I get if we hadn't have done that, there could have been a little bit of misinterpretation and wiggle room for them to kind of back out and say, hey, look, yeah, we didn't get this right. It's just curved visual space, whatever you want to call it. But, then like the only out at that point would be that if you go up, like if this curved perspective of the sky is a thing, then potentially you can go up high enough through that area, through that medium that's, having this curve phenomenon. And then when you look back down through it, it does the same exact thing that it did to the stars when looking from the opposite way. And it curves the ground and the earth as well. Like, there's a potential possibility also.
Yeah, when you go up high enough, I mean, you have to get far enough away, as if it were a planet and you're in space. But that, even then, I don't think you'd be able to see much of. You can only see so far, still, no matter how high up you are. So you'd never be able to see the whole thing unless you're on this concept that you could go into space far enough away that you can see it as a ball or whatever. But I don't even think about it that way anymore. It's just we're on a plane. And I don't think I think it's an infinite plane in quotes until proven otherwise. Because how could there be an end to reality? Like even if there's like a firmament, like you stick your hand through the firmament, does your hand go into a non-reality? I mean, there's got to be more land and sky. I mean, even if there was an end, there's got to be more reality beyond that. How could reality have an end?
No, I hear that. Yeah. I always like that picture of the guy, I can't remember who it is, where he's like at the edge of the earth and he lifts up the curtain and he looks out and it's like a whole nother,
Yeah,
looking into the fractal universe outside of this universe. It's really crazy. Look.
it's the same psychology too. When we used to think we're on a planet, like how could we be the only planet with life? That doesn't make sense if there's trillions of planets. But it's the same psychology. Like we're just the only continents in existence ever, and sitting in the middle of nowhere doesn't make any sense either. It's it's an infinite plane to some degree in my mind. Automatically, when I found out that we're not on a ball, because like even a wall doesn't end reality. But yeah, and even if you were able to get like the whole perimeter is another thing. Like even if you were able to say, okay, here's the firmament, we're going to track it, we're going to go around a 360-degree circle, and we know where the whole perimeter is. But you still don't know where you are because you don't know where you are unless it's in relation to something else.
So you would have to see another area to even have context for where you are in that little bubble. Like it doesn't give you any context for anything other than that you're in a bubble. And if that's the truth, then sometimes I think, well, the space fantasy is a little bit better than that idea. I don't know. I mean, reality is the truth is better than any fantasy, obviously. But I can understand them justifying what they've done if that's the case. I mean, $80 billion a day. Where's that money going? And are they using it for outer ponder exploration? I mean, obviously, it's just the people, the families that we don't even know the names of that, have that little tax on everybody at this point. But who knows? I mean, you're not going to change the whole system. That's another thing he said I agree on to some degree. I think is that, you can learn all these things to benefit and better yourselves and other people that you come in contact with or family. But you're not gonna change the world by spreading flat Earth. It's only for the interesting, fine wine conversation of it, really, and that's kind of where it should be in a way, for the intellectual conversation. If they ever tell us it's flat, like we forced them to do it, then that's what they wanted all along, unfortunately, and that's probably what they're going to do. That's the only reason I felt comfortable in talking about it. I'm like, oh, well, it's so obvious. They're going to tell us at some point if they got shills in the game. They must be planning on using flat Earth for this outer ponder / alien ancient ancestor thing. That would make a lot of sense. And it seems like that's what they're doing with the UFO disclosure and all that. Like they're going to marry those two concepts, the aliens with the outer ponder flat Earth. That would be the best move, in my opinion. I think they probably had that idea all along, but it's going to be like the last thing we would want, ironically, for everyone to know it's flat, but then it's their version of it, the fake pseudoscience flat Earth.
But now, all right, so let's just play with this hypothetical, okay, just for fun, since the room's dead and all that. All right, so let's say there's a big expose, they come out, Department of Defense, everybody's like, all right, look, this is the thing, these, whatever you want to call them, that they present them as, these outer ponders, entities, demons, aliens, whatever. Now, do you think that the power structure, as far as like the political system on the earth, would have to shift at that point? Do you think they're going to like assert or transfer over authoritative, power to these entities? Or do you think it's just like a slow expose, like, hey, these are kind of like immigrants that'll be coming and settling, and slowly integrating into our society? How do you think that they're going to kind of propose that?
I think that if I had to bet, that there's definitely lots of outer ponders and other places to go live and wherever else. But the version they're going to give us is like the fake alien invasion. They'll use it as ancient ancestors, and they could give us CGI or even like have a part of this pond be decorated as an outer pond, like as if like that's the role model for where our society is going to reach, because they're our ancient ancestors that have, that are much wiser and more advanced technologically, and that's our goal. We need to go there. And the reason we didn't tell you about them is because it's not safe for everyone to know about these things. You can understand it's a treaty. We have to keep things safe for everybody as a whole, and that's why we didn't tell you the truth right away. But now they've invaded, or there's good outer ponders, bad outer. There's so many different scenarios they can run with. But I think it'll probably be just all them creating that illusion so they can control it. I don't think they're actually going to introduce us to the real outer ponders or any of that for real, because that wouldn't be in their control.
So that's hard to follow. They're going to fake the outer ponders by giving us the truth about outer ponders, but not an actual outer ponder.
Yep, you got it.
What if
But who knows if they know the truth about it? I mean, who knows what the truth is about outer ponders? But it doesn't even matter. They can create it from the scratch. Just use actors like human actors. If they do the alien invasion with like space aliens, it doesn't even make any sense. anyway,
So
because they would, how would
that
they
is
look
the
human?
psyop.
But so if they could just use actors that are human, it'd be a much uh, easier way to go about it, right?
You heard?
I
What if
can
that is
barely hear you.
what if that is the psyop? What do you mean you can barely? Maybe you got me
You're a
turned
little bit
down.
low. No, I don't think so. I'll check. Go ahead though. What is the psyop?
Wow.
You're
Is he
breaking
coming
up.
in for everybody else?
My headphones.
Yeah, get
You're
your
breaking up a
headphones.
bit.
You're really low and you're kind of breaking up.
It's probably my headphones. Never mind, dude.
Oh, we can hear you. What is the psyop? The psyop is what?
What you just laid out.
Right. That's what I'm saying, right?
No, I'm saying like the psyop is the blue beam shit. That's the psyop. So when
Okay.
it actually manifests, right? You actually have entities manifesting. Y'all gonna think it's all blue beam technology and hologram.
Right. I
What if
get
that
you.
is the psyop? You know what I mean?
Yep. Could be.
Because
And how
then
would we know? How would we
and
know if
this
it's real or not?
and this idea that are they gonna gain control? Are we gonna give them control? In my paradigm, they already have control. They're the principality that Paul talks about in high places, in divine places. We don't fight
Yeah.
against flesh and blood. We fight against heavenly principalities.
No, I agree with that 100%. I was just wondering how they would try to make that play, you know? How would they present them to the people?
They
I
could
don't know.
try to do like a regime change to make it seem like they got rid of the liars or something. Who knows? But it'd be same boss as the old boss, probably, regardless.
Those are the puppet masters, the
Yeah.
puppeteers. They're the one pulling the
I agree.
strings.
Yep. They give you 5 different. It's like the JFK quote unquote assassination. They give you all these different scenarios of what it could be, but the idea that he never got killed or that it was staged, that's not an option. Every other option you can have, you can talk about it, argue about it, divide and conquer over it. You know, I think that's part of the reason they did that is to create the information age. We're a product of what they've created with the conspiracies. Most of these conspiracies are intentionally created to get us to learn about it, to argue about it, to create the discord that we're on right now. The engine of the internet is conspiracies. Same with 9/11. They had the whole controlled opposition all worked out before they even did any of that. The conspiracy theories were worked into the original conspiracy and all of that. Every part of it, all the mistakes made on purpose, in my opinion, to create the controversy, to create the dialogue, to get us on Discord. And it's if the Third World War is an information war, then we're the soldiers, and we volunteered. We're voluntary soldiers at this point. We signed up without even having to be drafted in a way. Not to put a negative twist on it, I think it's a good thing what we're doing. I think it's a positive end. It could be negative outcomes or effects, or people get detached from quote unquote reality, but then they made the game board fictional, like all the legal fiction that Issa talked about and everything. It's like there's a beautiful part of it because it works, even if it's not real. And they made the whole game board, the globe is the game board, and that's fictional. So all the legal fiction and identity and social security numbers and everything, all that fiction and money and everything is under their control as well. But it works, it's so sophisticated. And the thing they made, the most brilliant thing they did was convincing most people, 99% of the people or whatever, that not only that they live on a globe, but that the people running the world are stupid. Because then they could just say it's this so and so's fault. You can blame it on Trump or blame it on whoever it is that they script the next thing for. It's a
Yeah, that's
perfect
kind of fun.
patsy.
I was talking with a gem or whatever. He was saying like, oh, flat Earth is just a product of, like our generation And the reason flat Earth is because of 9/11 created such trauma, you know? Like, and they were literally like, they were like, because Americans couldn't imagine that some people in a cave could do that to them, And I was thinking to myself, I was like, actually, no, the reason is, I was like, our generation was attacked. And then we found out that Osama bin Laden was a CIA agent who worked for the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission. And
Right.
the project for the New American Century was written by George Bush or Dick Cheney and Wolfowitz and all the rest of it. So all we did was we fucking were traumatized by the fact that our government attacked its own people. So of course that makes sense flat Earth makes sense in a lot more sense in that paradigm
Yeah.
than like fucking, the idea that we were traumatized by the attacks of 9/11. No, we were traumatized by the fact that our government that we found out that our government did 9/11. That's what fucking did it.
And then if you see the sophistication behind the controlled opposition, like the whole thing was orchestrated for both sides to argue it out just to create us and all that. It's like a learned helplessness. Like you're just in awe of that much control of the media and the opinions and even the most of the alt media and the influencers. It is amazing, right? And you kind of feel powerless, but at the same time, uh, more aware and
But
enriched.
I
Interesting.
mean, call me naive though, but I think like that's what's interesting is that like it's it's not like they planned on. I think we're a monkey wrench in the thing too, man. Like to some extent, like it's not all like they
No,
plan
it's true.
everything and
There's
then it's
organic
executed
part.
perfectly.
We're organic. There's an organic part of it, but that's what creates the
How would you know though,
the
right?
little bit of an we're, we at least people that are real, whatever it is, people just saying what they're not scripted to say, is the unpredictability factor that kind of is maybe not going to threaten the whole system, but it's going to be something that the inspiration or the ingenuity of real people is where things actually advance in a way. Plus, it's kind of a game for them, I think,
Well,
to
no, it's
watch that
kind of like
organic
I
part of
think
it.
of it like it's what it's kind of like is imagine like somebody sells these Gucci purses for $1,000, and we're the kind of people that are like, hey, you can order your own for $250 on fucking on this website. You know what I mean? Like and like we're fucking up the deal that they're gonna make the profits off of. I think to some extent, and that's kind of just how that's how I see it.
Well, yeah, this live stream alone is that in a way because we're sitting here for free, talking to each other 24 hours a day, not watching any commercials, and not censoring ourselves or pushing any kind of agenda. Just people talking. I mean, it's like free entertainment, and it's the best. Like I was saying when I first came in, and I'm about to get off. I'll end full circle. It's the real, and there's a trade off for the real because that's you're not going to be like the most popular people or channel or whatever, but it's the real people just having real conversations about whatever. That
Well,
is
yeah,
kind of the
never
monkey
forget
wrench.
too, bro. Also, I think too, it's like the trick is like it's like if you knew where a good when you know where a good fishing place is, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You don't tell everybody.
exactly. Why would you?
So
Why
don't
wouldn't
forget.
they lie? Why
You know.
wouldn't they lie, Lisa? Why wouldn't they
Well, I
lie?
mean, even for us though. But I mean, even for us, like with
Sure,
like
I know.
let's say if you want to think you have the fucking or whatever, like got a beat on things. It's like it's like knowing where a nice fish spot is. It's like you don't tell everyone. You know.
Yeah. And ironically, if somehow everyone were able to find out what we found out about it not being a globe, everyone's just like, oh yeah, flat Earth. Everyone's a flat Earther. You wouldn't know who the cool people are anymore, or you wouldn't know, wouldn't find the was it go find the others? Like you wouldn't find the others in the same way because it would just be a common knowledge or what everyone thinks. They'd have flat Earth taco stands and be like, yeah, whatever. You wouldn't be able to distinguish
Well, I think at
the
that
cool
point,
from
half of
the.
us would probably become Globers again. You know,
Well,
like
you can't become a globe again once you realize it's not a globe. It's impossible.
right. Right, but you can go against consensus, which is again, it's like, when
Right, right.
consent, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, because like I'd imagine, like, to be frank, like if any of us lived during the time when everyone was a flat earther, we probably would have all been Globers, like, just despite the fucking, just to look at the information, the new information, you know what I mean, and be
Right,
able
or
to
imagine the
develop it. So like,
possibilities. Right.
because you might be like, and like it's like, you're after the search for truth. So if like, if somebody was telling you the Earth's flat and don't look into it, you'd be talking about, well, I don't know, the celestial sphere and the fucking, you know what I mean? Like you'd have to combat that authoritarianism. It just so happens we live at a time where the globe is the authoritarian position.
And again, if they told us it was flat and they said, okay, we're telling you the truth is flat, here's how far the perimeter is, this is how thick the firmament is, they could make up a bunch of bullshit on top of that truth that doesn't even make it any kind of truth. This is their version of the flat earth that, that they control. So it's not about trying to make them do anything or get the whole world to know anything. It's just the interesting parts of it that, are kind of nuanced and that fine wine conversation that's allowed to be had. And that's the way it kind of should be, like TFE or whatever it is, the best thing for flat earth in a way, because it separated the people that were real from the people that were just going along with the, gang.
Well, yeah, it's like Rupert Sheldrake said, man. It's the enemies of an idea are the ones that spread it.
Right? Exactly. It's so sophisticated, and we think stupid people are in charge. I mean, even if Trump is playing 5D chess, he's made out to be stupid, so he could be the guy that people blame or praise or whatever.
Yeah, I
It's just
kind
a
of dig
figure.
the idea that he's taken out the whole like CIA network, dude.
Has he? I didn't even pay attention to that. He took out the whole CIA network, or
Well, think
is
about it.
that
Like the CIA.
a
Think
story?
about if the CIA killed JFK, right? The CIA
Or
created
yeah, but I don't think that.
the
But go
CIA.
ahead.
I know, I get it. The CIA created the fucking state of Iran, or the leadership of it.
Mhm.
This, I mean, like the CIA was running drugs in South America. The CIA fucking probably tried to kill Trump, and it's probably the tool for these fucking people who took Chinese money in our government. And right now, he's destroyed their drug trade in Venezuela. He's going after their fucking boogeyman of Israel. If Iran goes down and in the process attacks the shit out of Israel, right? Like, or at least my theory is like, if he takes out Iran, like, the boogeyman of the Middle East, then we no longer have to fund Israel's military. We can back away from Israel. We could
Yeah,
diplomatically back
yeah.
away from Israel if Iran and that regime gets taken, is let's say like something happens where they're not as much of a threat to the Middle East, then there's no reason for us to bankroll Israel. So we back off Israel. It's like it's the way out of like Israel is the Nazi
So
party
he's just
CIA
like,
state. So it's like,
There's no
it's
is
the
reason
that
way
for
is
out
that
of
Israel
his
to
it.
make
way of like
war
made
with
out to be
Iran.
a
That
part
actually
of it,
sounds
so he
pretty
can
good.
get out, like get us away from Israel by acting like he's in on it with them and
Dude, it's Anthony.
being their
I'm calling
puppet.
it the Anthony Fauci effect, where he
But
Yeah,
stands
it's
but
on
yo,
funny you
stage.
say that because
yo,
recently
go.
Netanyahu's been interviewed and quoted saying that he has a 10-year plan and expectation for the U.S. to cut off funding to Israel. And this situation is going on. So, I mean, you could be par for the course on that.
That sounds good. Yo, if he takes care
Attacking
of
Iran is
Iran,
not
which is their
necessary to stop funding Israel.
yeah, that's true too. But I was just saying, if he takes care of Iran, Iran is like the biggest threat in the Middle East right now. They have the most potential to cause damage than any other country over there except Russia. And if Trump takes care of Iran, yeah, like that'll help everybody out. It'll help us out. It'll help
Dude,
Israel out. But
Iran.
the one thing is though that Israel still basically controls the Federal Reserve, and from what I understand, the Rothschilds own like 60-something% of the printing presses themselves.
Right, but that
Print our
gets
money.
well. Okay, 2 points. One is that like Well, for instance, with the money supply, we've ended the 3 terms of 70-year contracts. You've talked. I don't know if you've heard me talk about this forever, right? You guys are up to speed on my opinion on that shit.
I don't really remember.
I've talked to you, Lion. I've told you this
The
like a hundred
Jubilee, yeah,
times,
yeah,
bro.
the
I get so
Jubilee.
frustrated with you motherfuckers. Okay, look, sorry, I just because I don't want to, but like 3 terms of 70-year contracts. Every 70 years, the United States changes its money supply. Okay, because we have to re-up we lost the Revolutionary War. We owe Great Britain, but now the thing is that there's been 3 terms of 70 years. Those 3 terms are up, so we're renegotiating the whole fucking show. And so Trump, the top negotiator, the guy who wrote the book on how to negotiate, is literally at the helm of our country as we relinquish the 3 terms of 70-year contracts, enter into a financial banker's jubilee where we're no longer fucking subject to the loans of the past. We're fucking primed historical conspiracy wise, we're primed to like be free of all those old agreements. So we're literally entering into like a new financial stage of the United States, free of the encumbrances of the fucking war, of the Revolutionary War, finally. So where we can renegotiate all this shit. And I think Iran has been the Osama bin Laden of Israel. They were set up to be the boogeyman so that we always had to give money to Israel. And now if Trump takes out that, then like it's a wrap. There's no boogeyman in the Middle East that the CIA created so they can keep sending money into the black hole of Israel. And so it's like we're tying up these loose ends. The problem is it's going to look like what we've been protesting for the last however many years about invading any country that's not a party to the IMF. But with the renegotiation, it's fucking crazy, man. I think like we're gonna it's nothing but goodness coming up, in my
What
opinion.
source do you get this elaborate system of geopolitical machinations?
Well, it's 70 years contracts. You mean? Is that what you're talking about?
That
Like the
and
idea?
everything you just.
Yeah. Okay. So like, who won the revolution? Do we have to go back to the Revolutionary War? Do you want to talk about that, or where do you want to start?
I mean, you're saying these things. I'm wondering what is the source you get these things from?
All right. Well, the Treaty of Paris, 1783, for one. So let me ask you a question: Who won the Revolutionary War?
The common notion is the U.S.
Okay. So
I'll,
at the end of a war, who writes the treaty? The winner or the loser?
the winner.
Okay. So when the King of England wrote the Treaty of Paris, which ended the Revolutionary War, in the first paragraph, he calls himself the King of the United States. So based on that, I can assume that the United States lost the Revolutionary War. The genius of John Adams and them was that they created an institution to put the debt on instead of the states. And so the idea is that in like bankruptcies, you have 7 years, right? In international bankruptcies, it's 70. So 70 years after after the Constitution is put together, we default on the debt, and we have to tax the South, and we create the Civil War, and we take the southern states' property for not paying the tax, which is the freed slave. The freed slaves become the first United States citizens, the collateral on the national debt. That's why black people were only given 3/5 the rights, or U.S. citizens were only given 3/5 the rights of a state citizen.
What was it, the 14th Amendment?
Well, I'm not going to get it. The 14th Amendment, there's the 14th and the 13th, but like the 13th is like there is no involuntary servitude. That's why you could sign up and become a United States citizen, which makes you
Yeah,
a
the
servant
slaves became citizens, right?
concept. Well, right. The first U.S. citizens were freed slaves, technically, and they were the collateral on the national debt, which allowed us to restructure the thing, and then we created up with new money. That's why Lincoln came out and said, "Wait a minute, I could create my own money. I don't need to stick to these old agreements." And they were like, "Bang, yes, you do." So fucking then, like that's what happened with JFK. He tried to decide it. So 70 years after the fucking Civil War and the restructuring of the default. You have 70 years after that, you have a restructuring again where we all get the Federal Reserve note. And now 70 years after
So
that, they blow up the fucking financial center, trade center. They blow that up. And now 20 years after that, we shut down the economy. And now we're potentially in a digital money revolution.
so you said who authored the Treaty of Paris?
The King of England.
According to what source?
The Treaty of Paris, 1783.
The Treaty of Paris says the king authored this treaty.
Come again?
The treaty says the king authored this treaty.
Yeah, go read the treaty. It's written by the King of England. And he calls himself the King of the United States in the first paragraph.
I assume you read this on what archives.org.
I mean, whatever one, just put up 1780, Treaty of Paris, 1783 PDF. If you get that one, just it's pretty much the same one you're gonna find.
I mean, you read it on what on some. I can't speak English all of a sudden. You read this on some website, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's pretty much it's the same document, whatever website you look it up. But yeah, if you look it up, just read. Actually, if you want, I'm busy for a second. Read the first paragraph if you pull it up. It's pretty grandiose on behalf of the king if he just lost a war.
Yeah, but if you look at all the treaties, they show the truth.
Yeah, all the treaties show the truth.
I thought that.
It's all the agreements between the empires. It shows a trace.
Yeah, all right.
Not wrong
Tea
though, because
Party is a nice one also.
I
like
can't hear
most
you.
of
What'd
the
you say, Issa?
Oh no, I was just gonna say like most treaty. It's probably an interesting way to look at history. Is the actual treaties of the endings of wars? And that's probably actually a good way to look at look to kind of study history, really.
And that's just studying history, is studying the documents.
Right, and just like we're doing right now, like colloquially speaking, everyone thinks the United States won the Revolutionary War, but then you can go and look at the treaties and realize, wait a minute, maybe we didn't win that war. That's why I was just saying it's like an interesting way to study history because it's just case in point.
Yo, weren't the freed slaves promised 40 acres and a mule?
Maybe, yeah.
Do you know why they never received that 40 acres and a mule?
I don't know why. Do you know, or why is it?
Okay, so I just read the first handful of sentences. Well, actually, this is one humongous run-on sentence. Actually, that's actually how it's written. But the definitive. Well, let me just post a link. I'll do it. I'll do it in a moment. The definitive Treaty of Paris, 1783, in the name of the most holy and undivided Trinity, and having pleased the divine providence to dispose the hearts of the most serene and most potent Prince George III, by the grace of God, King of Britain, France, and Ireland, defender of the faith, Duke of Brunswick and Lundberg, Arch-Treasurer and Prince Elector of the Holy Roman Empire, etc., and of the United States of America, to forget all past misunderstandings and differences that have unhappily interrupted the good correspondence and friendship which they mutually wish to restore and to establish, such a beneficial and satisfactory intercourse between the two countries upon the ground of reciprocal advantages and mutual conveniences may promote and secure to both perpetual peace and harmony, and having for this desirable end already laid the foundation of peace and reconciliation by the provincial articles signed at Paris on the 30th of November, 1782, by the commissioners empowered on each part, which
Yeah, we
articles
don't need.
agreed to be.
Did
Yeah.
you see it in the beginning where he calls himself the King of the United States?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that he wrote it is huge.
So did the colonies acknowledge him to be the king of the United States after this treaty?
Hey, the,
Well,
the,
it's
the,
it's
the
like
United States has a debt to pay. If they gave 40 acres and a mule, they can no longer pay back the debt.
oh, it's an interesting take. Is that what you? Because I asked you earlier, and I didn't hear you respond. Yeah, it's a good one. But real quick, just to address this, because like I look at it like this, Gregor. It's like imagine like you're a gangster and you take over some young gang's block because you fucking steamrolled their crew, and you're like, I'm gonna let you sell drugs from Sunday to Tuesday on this block, and I'm gonna let you do this on that block, and I'm gonna let you go fishing over here in these waters, and I'm gonna let you do all this. So like that's what the king's doing. He's just coming in and being like, hey, my new friends. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like being gangster about it, trying to be like, I'm gonna let you guys, you know, fish over here, and you guys can do that now, and we're just gonna be peaceful to keep up the peaceful business relations we have. You know what I mean? It's some gangster shit, dude. The King of England just does in that document. And everyone's like, it liberated us. It's the proof that tells us that we won the war. It's like, how?
Okay, so did the colonies at this time, after this treaty was ratified, acknowledge the King of Britain to be also the King of the United States now?
Okay, let me ask you just okay. The Magna Carta, right?
Okay.
You know what the Magna Carta is? So, like, the Magna Carta, like, do you think that that document ever had legal power?
Insofar as I understand this document, yeah.
Yeah, and the problem with that is that when when King John was recommuned with the Catholic Church, he said that he signed the Magna Carta under duress, and the Pope issued a papal bull nullifying the Magna Carta. So, the general population in England falsely believed that the Magna Carta had legal authority ever. When in reality, between King John and the governments, there's a papal bull, you can go look it up, that nullifies the Magna Carta. And it's in effect because the king who signed the Magna Carta admitted that he signed it under duress in order to get back into the fold of the church. So even though that the masses wrongly think and thought that the Magna Carta had any legal effect, effectively it didn't. So they don't care what the masses misinterpret. They care about the business relationships. And that's why when Lincoln came along thinking that America was free, and he's like, well, I don't need to substantiate the creation of money off of anything to do with what we did in the past. That's why they shot him in the head, even though he should have had the right to make his own money supply. On the
Well, my
books.
question wasn't about.
Oh, sorry, go on.
I understand your point. My question wasn't about the common public. My question was primarily. I didn't specify earlier, so that's my fault. But my question was primarily focused on: did the magistrates, in the basic sense of the term, magistrates of the United States, acknowledge the King of Britain to be King of the United States after the treaty was ratified?
No, nor did they need to.
Or why would they not need to if this is a part? If they're subordinate to him and their lands is under his jurisdiction?
It's a need to know basis.
But, well,
Yo,
it
yo,
was.
real quick.
If,
I'm
Gangster.
if,
not.
if,
It's
I'm not
gangster
speaking.
shit. It's
Real quick. I'm
gangster
not
shit.
speaking on this.
if,
But why were we paying taxes to England at one point? Where in Massachusetts, the Massachusetts Bay Colony, which I'm from, they were like, no taxes without representation, and they rebelled and spilt all the tea into the bay. If we were
that was
completely
before. That
independent,
was before. Hang on.
Oh, that was
I'm going to
before.
get confused if we digress to that. Yeah.
That was
The
18th
Boston Tea
century.
Party
I
was
thought.
no, that was a part of what led up to the, or was a part of the Revolutionary War.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
What was I saying? You said your reply was need to know basis. That doesn't quite make sense out of my question, because if it is the case that this is a de jure binding legal precedent, right? If the United States is under the jurisdiction of King Britain and the magistrates of the United States knew this, then of course my next natural question is, did the magistrates of the United States acknowledge that?
Well, I don't know. They got King James Bible in every courtroom. I mean, they got it
Okay,
where it counts.
you
They
said
got
you
it
don't
where it
know.
counts. In my opinion, they have it where it counts, and that's why, like I'm saying, like
What
the
do you,
mass.
who's
What's up?
they when you say that?
The people in the know about the treaties regarding the proper treaties regarding the United States and Great Britain. I think it's one of the things that, like, any sitting president, when they come into power with all the shit that they talk, you know what I mean? They get into the office and they're like, oh shit, there's this like outstanding agreements that are going on kind of like beneath the surface. Like I said, like, did the barons who lived in England, think that the Magna Carta gave them the right to do what they wanted to? Yes, they did. They thought the Magna Carta gave them like legal ability. And the problem with that is that the papal bull, just says that it's complete bullshit. It nullifies the Magna Carta, and yet the lay people were still going along with it, and so they didn't find the need to try to change them. They just made sure that the people who were in the higher echelons of power, they're the ones who pulled the final strings on things. That's my opinion, anyway. It's
Okay,
gangster.
I get
You
that.
need to know. Yep.
Okay, I get that. So that's why I'm like, well, I'm just inquiring of you to see how much you know, or see how coherent your view is on this. So I mean, it would be an incomplete view of yours if you don't know that even if the first generations immediately after the ratification of the Treaty of Paris, that if you don't know if the magistrates of the United States didn't even acknowledge the King of Britain to be also the King of the U.S., that would be just at best a gap and an incomplete view of this.
Well, look at, like, there's a theory about like the War of 1812, right? When England came in and burned down the White House, and the theory being is that, like, the Congress was trying to pass a law that said no one in Congress could hold titles of nobility, and
What document said that?
I believe, I don't know the document, but if we could look it up together, I guess. But there's it was like a motion put in by Congress. And if you want, go dig it up. Where they were trying to make it the original 13th, I think, or it was an original um, offer of one of the amendments was that no member of Congress would hold titles of nobility. And the theory is that England came in and said, no, you can't do that. And that's why there's like another theory that every esquire or attorney is holding a position of a title of nobility. And that's why only
You said no member of
attorneys,
Congress, right?
I think it's Congress. Yeah, I think that was, I don't know if that's the wording, but I believe it's the wording. But it was no member of Congress shall hold title of nobility. And England came in and burned down the White House because they were like, no, 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 no. We control what the fuck is going on here. But I'm not too sure I could, I don't think any, like, my point being is that, like, the lay people, even the people in Congress and in government at the time, they maybe were not privy to the fact of this outlook, but there was like a silent almost agreement that, like one of the best ways to have your enemy stop fighting you is tell them that they won. So, like, if you can convince them that they won the war, they're not in a war anymore, they're not going to fight. And so, like, and I
Oh,
think
you're
that's
talking about the Constitution. That's what the Google AI just pulled up when I typed in War of 1812. No members of Congress shall hold titles of nobility. You talk about the unratified amendment.
Yeah, there was an amendment. Yeah, and it wasn't ratified because they came in and burned the fucking White House down. Because they didn't want to have, because the theory being that the crown wanted to have control over Congress, and they did so by having people with titles of nobility. And that's where people look at the term esquire, being an attorney, as a title of nobility, and that's why most members of Congress are lawyers.
And you mentioned this because that's an instance of uh, a
The instance of the
foreign
disconnect,
magistrate
no, the disc.
trying to interfere with the machinations of the federal government of the U.S.
Well, all I'm trying to highlight is
Trying to
the
control.
well, like the difference between what lay people thought was going on versus what was really going on. So, like, even though
Yeah, yeah,
the masses may have thought they won the war, may have thought this and the other thing, there was like a quiet group of bankers that understood otherwise.
yeah. So
And
regardless of the masses, because
I'd say
I never talked
the
about the
reason we
masses.
got to this in the first place was just the idea that, like, in conclusion, was just to bring it up to speed, is that we're entering into a stage where we may be free of all of those contracts. And that's why Trump is on a tirade right now against the world and even against Great Britain and against, like, is that there's no authority on their behalf anymore. Like, it's like when you finally like paid your debt and you're done. And like that's where it's, even though in our case it's like through default. It's like when you're freed of your bankruptcy or something, you can go get a credit card again and you're not restrained by your old poor credit score. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. So I was asking you about the Treaty of Paris, and then you brought our attention to the Magna Carta to make a point of analogy, and so um, I guess to tie it into Trump, I guess. Um,
Well, it started
have
off
you
why.
heard him?
Okay, go on.
Have you heard him publicly warn people the same way JFK did in his public address titled "The President and the Press"?
Is that the address where it's like there's a secret group or whatever type of thing? Is that that?
Yeah, monolithic conspiracy, like in painful detail.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think right now Trump is like. I mean, I'm totally on conspiracy street, but like I just think Trump is instituting. I think some of like our newfound freedom, and I think like in the sense of being free of the constraints of our debt relations with England, and I think that like he's just. He's operating the thing versus actually trying to explain it. So like I think JFK was killed for like he was I think any president would have dreamed for the moment that Trump has right now in as far as debt freedom. And I think like he's actually at liberty to create a new currency or create a new way forward. Whereas I think before, like during JFK's time and Lincoln's time, he wasn't free to create his own like unbacked funds. You know what I mean? Like like I think Trump may be the
I get
first
it. I get
president
you.
that's not constrained, and that's why we have this. I just think that we have a new money change happening. Because if you also look into every 70 years, roughly as a country, so like
Well, the
we
reason
have
I doubt this, the reason I strongly doubt this, is because I've never heard him say anything remotely close to like what I can quote here right now from JFK back in 1961. If I remember correctly, he was murdered in 1963, right? JFK.
But do you know about like Executive Order 11116 or some shit like that from him? Do you know about that?
JFK.
Yeah.
I don't recognize it in detail.
Okay, yeah, he tried to. I bring up JFK in that way because he tried to create his own money supply. He wanted to get free. He was
Yeah.
going to make his, and when he tried to do that, it's like the gangsters were like, "Dude, you can't do that. You have to pay the money and the money that we've been doing it." And he's like, "I could just create my own money." And they were like, "Take him out." Same
Right.
thing with
So
Lincoln. Same thing
that
with Lincoln.
right. So that's
And
that's a
think of
part
it
of my
like this.
skepticism.
Think of it. Okay, well, hold on real quick, and just put it into context. Like symbolically, they shot at Trump, but they didn't get him. So they shot at Trump, but they didn't get him. They killed Lincoln. They killed
Did they?
JFK. They shot at Trump, but they didn't kill him. I mean, I'm not going to get into like conspiratoriety about because let's say it was all fake. It's even still it's symbolic. They shot him and they didn't get him, but they shot JFK and they shot Lincoln. And I'm saying to you that like I think this is almost symbolically, if we're going to be all Illuminati about it, this is telling you that we're free of those old constraints. They don't have the authority like they did.
Well, if it's a symbol, then he's a part of this deceptive symbol because he
Yeah, well,
himself would know
welcome
he
to the
would be
show,
shot.
brother. Welcome to the show, brother.
Right. So then he wouldn't be in the same category as Lincoln or JFK then.
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, I don't. I'm not going to get into who's what. I just don't. I think that there's more going on than just like the Illuminati versus the world. But I think the Illuminati's got their own problems, and I think I think there's something interesting going on. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I
So
think
JFK said this, and it's not just for you, but it's he said this. So he said the very word secrecy, quote unquote, is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are as a people inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers and excessive unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweigh the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by limiting its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation. Our traditions do not survive with it, and there is a very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it is in my control, and no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. If the press is awaiting a declaration of war, or it imposes the self discipline of combat conditions, then I can only say that no war imminent. It requires a change in outlook, a change in tactics, a change in missions by the government, by the people, by every businessman or labor leader, and by every newspaper. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, by expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system that has a it is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. This is the last paragraph. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. It conducts the Cold War. In short, with wartime discipline, no democracy would ever hope or wish to match. Now, where has Trump ever conveyed anything like that?
I think I think he's in a different role, man. Like I think they're it's kind of like like he learned, like let's say because JFK, he says like they have to conceal this monolith that we're up against conceals more than it reveals, right, and shit like that, right. And I just think like in some weird way there's been an effort to use that strategy in an attempt to help liberate our country also. So, like, for instance, like my theory of Trump invading Iran to take out the CIA Israeli narco state that it created and installed, like if that's true, then like Trump potentially is in the process of, under their cover, even under the cover of working with these people, he's destroying their whole fucking network, of like,
Aisha,
'cause I happen to think Iran is the boogeyman that Israel created for itself. But what's up?
Aisha,
I mean, that's a
but
romantic
when you
notion.
look
How
at
do you
what
actually
Trump,
conceal that
I'm
from
pretty fucking romantic,
the
bro, if
other
you couldn't
players?
tell. Pretty romantic.
Aisha,
But what
but
sense
when you
does that
look at
make?
what
How do you
Trump did
conceal
with
that from the
Hillary,
major players involved in it?
Gregory, don't you hear
Yo,
me?
there's too many people talking at once.
I had a question for Aisha. If look at what Trump did with Hillary, with all the fraudulent thingies behind the back doors in the money system. Basically, he's revealing the methods what they are abusing.
Yeah, I mean that's what. Yeah, he, like he said I think he said it during one of their debates, was he was like, hey, talking about the campaign funding and the tax breaks, and he's like, hey, he's like, all your people do it too. I mean, that's an interesting way to look at it, and I think it is to certain levels. Like, yeah, he is showing the normies that like something is up. That there's like an elite group of dickheads that have been robbing our country. Like, I mean, look at the fraud that Doge, let's say, exposed. Like, that's on par with Kennedy's speech to some degree, because like he's actually showing the fraud. He's showing the bank accounts of the monolith. Now, most people consider Trump to be just a part of the monolith. I don't yet. I don't buy that yet. And if he is a part of the monolith, like the Illuminati, it's for the better of our society. Like, I don't necessarily demonize the Illuminati either.
Thing else that speaks for Trump. In his first term, he was one president that took America out of UN Agenda 21, which was signed in 1992 by 58 countries. He took you guys out. Biden put you straight back in.
Well, what
So
gets me
that's
is,
another thing.
dude, look at it like this. Like, dude, I'll take whatever Trump's given out in a certain sense, like in the sense that fluoride is being removed from our water supply. They're rechanging the fucking some of the health things for our cereals and foods and shit. They're taking it down. Less vaccines in the vaccine scheduling. They're fucking. We've got the opportunity where Florida right now is coming into a point where there's no mandated vaccines for kids. Like, we are making advancements in so many fucking ways that, I mean, we've got, I think, another like Trump with his, like, ever since Kissinger, they have outsourced everything that we manufacture in the United States overseas, and they've made it like, so that everyone gets subsidized if they get all these shit from other overseas. Well, Trump's ending all that. We're out of the World Health Organization. I mean, this dude
Okay,
is
but he's
doing
not.
so much shit behind the scenes,
Okay,
but
but
the
he's not
news is
conveying.
not reporting it. What's up?
Okay, but he's not exposing. Right? But he's not exposing the same things that JFK did, like I just quoted. Right?
No, he.
It's one thing. It's one thing to wrap some band-aids around some wounds that you and your people have inflicted. It's another thing to actually heal the wound.
Well, the first thing you need to do is realize you have an injury, and like that's what we're doing. That's what America's doing right now. Is being like, wait a minute, we mean we're spending all this money on giving condoms to fucking Afghan transsexuals? Like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? So like, if like, first off, we've got to find out that, wait a minute, people need to be informed that, hey, our country isn't doing, it's sick. It needs to be healed. And that's where, you
Right,
need
of
to get the
course. But my
person.
point is that right, of course. But my point is, he's not actually healing the wound. Like the things that are being mentioned, the several things that have been mentioned to try and like basically vindicate him is not sufficient. He's not exposing
That's,
the heart of the issue, like I just quoted JFK doing.
yeah, I mean, great. I just think, well, I mean, and right. And that's why Trump has JFK's fucking, brother's son, his nephew in his administration. I think it's almost a little apropos and kind of a wink and a nod kind of territory. Uh, the fact that he has a Kennedy on board, and he's in control of the health department, which is like,
Right.
I don't know, man. I just think these things are good things. I mean, granted, he's not making any radical speeches, but I think I'd rather have someone like, if you look at it, like JFK was like saying that as a form of protest because he was powerless and he got shot in the head for it. Whereas Trump is not fucking necessarily talking like that, but he's doing shit. He's actually in power. He doesn't need to say, I'm going to do this. He just is doing these things, like pulling us out of the World Health Organization, like fucking, wanting to end us, making NATO, pay, making these people pay more. Like, he's
But doing
negotiating, he's
nothing
doing
about
all
the
this
dollar
actually.
and the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why what I'm interested in is like I just said to you, what would the dollar and the Federal Reserve have to do with an complete rearrangement of currency, though? Like, if we move into like if you look up every 70 years, the United States changes its money supply. Did you?
I mean,
Are
first
you?
and foremost, like he was asked, he professed to
you
be a Christian, and then was exposed that he never even asked for forgiveness ever in his life. He was an
that's fine.
antichrist,
That's another
and
topic. But
and and displaying all the signs of the occult every day, and not exposing any of this, and saying nothing about the tyrant banking dynasties.
I mean, dude, like, what do you want him to do? Come out and tell you the Earth's flat?
There's no evidence. That's the point. All this indication about
Evidence for
minute,
what?
relatively
What I'm talking.
minute things, and there's no evidence about the majors.
Well, I'm sorry. Do you think taking away some of the vaccines isn't major?
Again, wrapping a band-aid around a wound. Sure,
No,
you're not you cease injecting people with poison. Sure, but with all the hundreds of other things still going on that are not
right,
stopped, and
right, but
the
you understand it's
and the greatest worst part of the issue being these tyrant banking dynasties and saying nothing about them, not even saying anything about them, let alone doing anything.
And not only that, he's creating a surveillance state of the United States. And that should worry you. He might be doing a lot of good things, but on the other hand, he's tying all your rights on your back.
I get that, and I mean, I have nothing. There's nothing for me to say. I just other than like Fidel. I think history shall absolve me. But I just think that like Trump is doing the Anthony Fauci effect on some of the worst players in the game, like Israel, etc. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that he's parading them around. Like, these are my best friends, just like he did to Anthony Fauci. And then what happened there? Fauci's getting hung up on fucking. Yeah, I just think it's interesting that
Yeah, but Isa,
I'm rooting for my
but when you
boy.
take out Iran, you're giving Israel free ball for the big promised lands they have been fighting for
Right, and we're
centuries.
also it gives us the right to never fund them again.
You don't need to destroy Iran to just stop giving Israel things.
I get it, but I think that like if Iran is the CIA's personal state and Trump is taking it out, then he's like fucking up the network of the fucking octopus that's been fucking up our country.
Well,
Like
why
I
not
think
just
that
stop giving materials and other assets to this ridiculous pest that was made by the Rothschild dynasty called Israel?
I think it's diplomacy in the Anthony Fauci procedure. This
Then why
is
not do
walking.
that with Iran then?
I think just
It's incoherent.
yeah, I know that it seems incoherent. That's why I said history shall absolve me. Like I'm saying, like I think that things will come to pass that like my reading of the tea leaves will be correct. But
Okay.
I understand it, like, and I think for almost like, sometimes I often just think even like I'm reluctant to even say any of this because I want it to work. You know what I mean? Like I don't necessarily need to. I think it's going to happen anyway, whether
Yeah,
we
but you
enjoy the show
forgot
or not.
David in the past already won from Goliath. What makes you think he's going to win now?
No, I think Trump is David against the Goliath of the fucking state
I'm
of
not so
Israel.
sure about that.
I get it. I understand people don't agree with me. That's how I see it. That's the way like it's to me there's no other And it might just be a play. You know what I mean? It might be a double Protestant Christian, double Jew bluff. I don't know. But the point is that it's like this is what it looks like is coming down the pipe. Be it real or not, be it manufactured or not. I just think that like there is going to be like a restructuring of the dollar. I think America will enter into a golden age, man. I think the world will, you know.
So,
But
given my criticism, I think people are uh, primarily driven by this exhaustion and this hope, but placing their hope in the wrong thing. Um, uh, too charitably interpreting particular instances and not considering that not necessarily everyone, and not necessarily you, but many are not considering that these minor improvements relative to the majors, these major ailments in the world order, remedying, excuse me, these minor ailments relative to the major ailments or deficiencies in the world order is just um, to sweeten up the appearance, right? You're a part of it. You're in the category of people. I talk about Trump. Trump is in the category of people who are these wicked antichrist tyrants. But again, Hegelian dialectic, as many are in here are already familiar with, you present yourself to these people you're trying to control the minds of as a benevolent uh, uh, assistant, a helper to the people, and you help them in this minor thing and that minor thing, but never actually remedy the major or the root cause of the ailments and
you
deficiencies
ever
of the
see
world order.
Trump do that thing about the snake? He does a
Well
little bit
put.
about the snake that bites him. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if you ever seen
Yeah,
that. He was doing that on the early on about how like and I always wondered like how fucking like just to join you in your skepticism is like the idea that how fucked up would it be if Trump's been using that whole speech the whole time about trying to help the snake and yet he was the snake. You know what I mean? Like the idea that he is
yeah.
that thing. You know what I mean? Which is I get it. Like all that. I mean that for me just makes me pump more popcorn, put more popcorn because like I just think it's this shit is fucking crazy. I mean, nobody really can
I
kind
mean, I
of
mean, ancient tyrants have
influence
done this
this either way.
before. They made themselves more or less
No doubt.
pleasant
The
and
acts.
attractive to the people, while never actually trying to resolve most major ailments and deficiencies in the order
See, but
of degeneration.
that's what's got me though, bro, is that he is kicking them right in the nuts. And I know that sounds like fucking bullshit to some folks. But like I've been watching this shit for 20 fucking years. I've been invested in fucking Palestine and all kinds of shit. And I'm telling you, Trump's the only candidate in my lifetime that I ever fucking agree with. And I think there's something different. There's something very savvy. I just think he's playing the role perfectly. He understands the term capacity. Like I think he's like let's say like take for instance like some of that Q shit, right? Like there's a lot of that Q stuff, and like when like there's one instance where the keyboards asked for Trump to say tippy top. I don't know if are you familiar with that? I don't know if you're familiar with that, but like briefly, like like the Q boards asked Trump to say the term tippy top. Long story, it's like they were like, if you're legit, get Trump to say tippy top. Anyway, Trump goes on at the Easter something 2018, and he says we keep the White House in tippy top shape. So everyone in the Q position was like, oh my god, this is crazy because all this information was coming out in Q, especially about Epstein and all that shit was coming out through the Q boards. And so one of the reporters asks Trump, you know, well, what do you know about Q? And he's like, I don't know anything about them, except I hear they don't like pedophiles. And like, it's like in the capacity as the president of the United States, he's not supposed to know any conspiratarded shit. He's supposed to be like a Lego man. In the capacity as the president of the United States, he is a businessman, full stop. That's it. But he alludes to the fact that he's aware of the conspiracy by saying that, by asking the question, they don't like pedophiles much though, do they? Do you know what I mean? Like he's hinting that he knows what's going on, but he's in the capacity as the president for the rest of the world to listen to. So he's got to be generic. And that to me is fucking like, mwah, like, because I can see that. Anyone who else who fucking half a brain could fucking or would know anything about the Q shit sees that. But anyone who doesn't know is completely kept in the dark, which is okay.
George Bush Jr. did the same thing at a UN speech.
What did George Bush Jr. do that's anything like Donald Trump did?
So immediately after, like within 30 days after, not 30 days, but like less than a year after 9/11, he gave a speech at the UN and he said, "Let us not tolerate any outrageous conspiracy theories shifting the blame from those who are truly responsible." That's what he said. So he's aware of the conspiracy. He's aware of the controversy that the public is talking about, participating in about the conspiracy. He did the same thing.
Right, and he's shitting on it, telling everyone not to agree with it. Trump has never done that, except like with this. The
No, he
only
didn't
thing he did,
say. He didn't explicitly he didn't explicitly distinguish between him being the suspect or him being an exposer. What he said was, "Let us not tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories that shift the blame away from the true perpetrators." That's what he said.
okay, but what's the point?
Right? That the content of that quote could be easily applied to the outrageous conspiracy theory that shifts the blame away from the true perpetrators, which is the mainstream narrative. He could be alluding to that. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He did the same thing.
I mean, but at the time, nobody was thinking. There wasn't any like mass movement trying to condemn.
Yes, there was. That's why he said that at
At
the
the,
time. Yes, there was.
I don't know. I mean, when did he say that? Like what date?
It was. I can look it up. I don't remember. It was less than a year after. I remember the clip I saw.
Well, I guess like the only difference I could point in regards to him saying that versus Trump is that, I mean, if you want to read it the way you did, then I guess you could say he's you could triple, double, jump back and see which way he's trying to point people. But I think he's trying to keep people onto the official 9/11 story, whereas I think Trump has kind of alluded to the idea that conspiracy may have some truth to it versus what Bush was saying. Because I think Bush was trying to get everyone back onto the, we got to invade Afghanistan, and you know, I think Bush is in a whole nother league just because he was in cahoots with Cheney and the project for the new American century and all that comes with 9/11. So, and what I see with Trump is just the idea that you know, uh, there's a distinct difference between Trump and those guys, in my opinion.
I mean,
Trump
just
is more
saying
like,
they don't like pedophiles. Sure, I mean, that's so what? I mean, that's a very small modicum thing to appeal to. The vast majority of people don't like pedophiles, except these tyrannical antichrists.
right, but like specifically the Q shit was pointing out, like Jeffrey Epstein is only in the zeitgeist nowadays because of the Q movement. Like the only
Sure,
thing, like one of the only reasons that is even palpable or even came about is because of what happened on the Q shit and like the push for
No,
that and the
dude, that was
exposure
way
for that.
before Q.
But you're
Q
gonna get some
was
folks.
the psyop to take over that narrative. It was way
I mean,
before
bro,
that,
you can't just come
Pizzagate
in
and
and
all that
you
shit.
can't just come in and interrupt them in a mid sentence. What the fuck? What are you doing?
You could. I mean, the idea was like
Oh,
I've
not
heard
good,
the
bro. That's how
argument.
a shit show starts, dude. I got Greg, you, and this guy now. That's the shit show soup we're about to make.
Oh
Yeah,
shit,
thank
we're
you, Jeremy,
cooking.
for that enlightening comment.
Could we call, yeah, we could call it
Well,
Jeremy's
it was
Kitchen.
enlightening. I wouldn't even have spoke up if you didn't interrupt someone. So I mean, don't interrupt people, please, in the middle of their sentence.
It's
Okay,
okay.
so just to make this point clear, like I get it. I get your notion about that comment. Like I get it, but it's just a very small detail and a very weak thing to try and like nudge the way. I get the way you're interpreting it, but by that pattern of reasoning, George Bush Jr. was exposing conspiracy by telling people don't tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories that shift the blame away from the true perpetrators. Like by that pattern of reasoning, then interpret that quote from George Bush Jr. as him repudiating the outrageous conspiracy theory that shift the blame away from the perpetrators, such as what the mainstream media did.
Yeah, but the
But we know
problem with
better than
that
that.
is that all roads lead back to George Bush being involved. So I don't know if he would have pointed it in that route. But because like you come to find out, like,
Yeah, of course, that interpretation of the quote wouldn't work because we know better, right? So I'm exposing the weakness of this pattern of reasoning you're doing in favor of Trump. I'm using the same pattern of reasoning you did for Trump's quote with George Bush Jr.'s quote. That's my
well,
point.
all I'm showing is, well, I mean, like, what? Well, the difference is that are you trying to say that, like, so do you believe that George Bush, by saying that quote, was telling people, "Hey, you need to look into this because the official story is bullshit"? That's what you think he
No, I
was
don't.
doing.
My point. No, I don't. I just
Okay,
said what
so
my
like,
point
but
is.
so
My
you
point is,
understand there's a
I
complete
just said what my
difference.
point. Let me make the point clear. Uh, I said that to expose the weakness of your pattern of reasoning, trying to interpret Trump's quote in favor of him.
Right, and I'm trying to expose the weakness in your reasoning right now, and that is
Well,
that
that's the
you're
analogy,
saying.
dude. What's the
No,
weakness?
okay, I'll explain. The weakness is that Trump is alluding to a pro conspiracy side of it. Like it's always good to be against pedophiles, right? Like it's
It's
always like
always
a
good
good.
to be against
It's
shifting the
always
blame.
hold on. It's always good to be against pedophiles, right? So when they bring up QAnon, which is being at the time was being tarnished in the news as some conspiratorial nut job full of fucking retards and white supremacists, they go, "Well, what do you think about QAnon?" He goes, "Well, I hear that they don't like pedophiles." So that's kind of
Right,
like
and
it's well. Hold on one second. So this is where the weakness in your argument comes in. The point is that so Trump is alluding, hey, look into this almost in the sense that like these people don't like pedophiles. Like they're fucking probably good people to some degree. Whereas what George Bush said was, hey, don't look into these fucking conspiracy theories because we've got to invade Afghanistan. So like just on the surface, that to me is there's complete difference unless you're gonna somehow allude that Bush is giving a wink and a nod because Trump is openly giving a wink and a nod, saying these
you don't get the
people.
point.
Yeah, okay,
You still don't. You're still not tracking the argument. Your pattern
I
of
think I
reasoning.
am.
I'm using the same pattern of reasoning you're using. Right. I'm using the same pattern of reasoning you're using for Trump's quote in his favor on the George Bush Jr. quote that entails a conclusion you don't welcome.
So read George Bush's quote again.
Yeah. Let us not shift the blame, right? Let us not tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories that shift the blame away from the true perpetrators.
Right, Osama, right? That's what he's talking about. Let us not shift the blame away from Osama bin Laden, right? That's what he's saying right
He
there,
didn't
right?
specify anything like that. That's what he
Okay, but
said.
most
He
people would think
deliberately
that.
left out.
But most people would
That's
think that
beside the
though.
point. That's
No, it's the
beside the
exact
point.
point. No. What you're
That's
missing
not the
is
point. That's
your
not the
weakness
point.
now coming into this
All right,
Not,
here
argument.
we go
dude,
with the
stop.
shit
You
show
don't
soup.
understand.
We're about to start right now with the shit show, Issa.
You know how we do it.
Like
No,
that's not the point.
we don't need to do it like
Right.
that. Like it's terrible, bro.
Okay, so
Well,
again, right, the quote says what it says. He said what he said, and he said more in this whole instance that I'm talking about. But of course, that's the relevant quote to make the point. He didn't specify any advocation for the official narrative when he said this. That's the speciousness of this instance, and the same speciousness of the Trump quote. So your
I
pattern of
think
reasoning to try to interpret Trump's quote as though it as though it vindicates him and exposes that he's actually against the evil, yada yada, against the pedophiles, for instance. The same pattern of reasoning can be done for this quote from George Bush. But then you, of course, don't welcome that entailment and appeal to all these other facts, right? All these other facts, they're facts that expose his guilt, that expose his complicitness, that expose
No, but it's
his
clear,
association.
for instance, it's clear that Bush is talking about let us not tolerate anything outside of what we're telling you, right?
That's not what he said.
Okay, so how the fuck are you getting anything else out of that, dude? Are you
You just don't
like
understand. You just don't
read it?
understand. I'm
Hold on,
using
read it
your
again.
pattern of
Just read it
reasoning.
again and try to understand what you're fucking reading, dude.
You're not tracking. It's not that I'm misinterpreting the quote. I know better. I'm exposing that using your pattern of reasoning that you're doing for Trump in that quote is just as weak
No,
and
it's not.
misleading and entails. You're not
No,
even
you're not.
listening.
No, brother. You're trying to be mad at Trump, is what you're trying to do, and you're not looking at the
No,
language.
I could easily say to you, you're just trying to favor Trump.
Yeah, I can. Well, look. I'm trying to tell you that you're trying to read something into what Bush said. I'm saying you can openly
You're
look at
reading
what.
into what Trump
Hold on,
said.
bro. Hold on, bro. I'm saying you can openly
Hold
look
on,
at
bro.
what.
You're reading into what
Let me
Trump said. Hold
finish
on,
my
bro.
fucking
Wait,
sentence,
hold
man.
on. Let me
Let me
finish.
finish my sentence, bro.
You're trying to read into what
Now
Trump
you don't
said.
want the interruptions. You sure?
Yeah, I'm cool either way. If you want to let it ride without the pretense, I'm cool. I could be a dick too. But I'm just saying, like, what I
No,
mean
go
is that,
ahead.
like, what I'm just saying is, like, Trump is openly saying something positive about the conspiracy movement. George Bush is openly saying something against the conspiracy movement. Do you
That's not
track
what the
that?
quote conveyed. That's not what the quote conveyed. You're
To
not
your
tracking
fucking
that.
weird ass mind, maybe. I mean, but to the rest of the
No, by
world,
your
Gregory,
reasoning, dude.
everyone knew
Just
what he
going off
meant
that
by that.
quote.
I mean,
No,
you
going
can.
off your
I,
reasoning. The way you
you're weird.
interpret the quote. You can easily interpret George Bush Jr.'s quote the same way you're interpreting Trump's quote. That's the
Well, I mean,
point,
I think you're retarded for that.
right? Just as you're retarded for interpreting